My husband thanked the waitress before he thanked me. The problem was, he never got around to me. Owen stood at the end of the long table with one hand around a champagne glass, smiling in that crooked, camera-ready way people trusted immediately. Behind him, gold balloons shaped like a 2 and a 7 knocked softly against the ceiling. 27 years in the Army reduced to 2 nervous balloons trying to escape an air vent. And let's give some credit to Marcy, Owen said, raising his glass toward our server. Because anybody who can keep 38 people fed and watered deserves a medal. Everybody laughed. Marcy gave an embarrassed little bow from beside the coffee station. I laughed too. That was the strange part. My body knew how to keep a room comfortable even while something inside me was quietly packing a bag. Owen thanked my mother. He thanked our daughter, Claire. He thanked his brother and sister, his former business partner, 3 Army spouses, and a man named Dale, whom I had met twice. Then he looked directly at me and said, "After 27 years of Uncle Sam getting the best of this family, it's finally our turn." The room rose around me in applause. Owen grinned as if he had just handed me the world. I understood all at once why I was going to leave before he showed me the surprise. 40 minutes earlier, I had still believed the night belonged to me. Not in a queen for a day kind of way. I would rather inventory a warehouse of mismatched bolts than sit beneath a spotlight while people describe me as inspirational. But I had spent 27 years showing up for ceremonies that mattered to other people. Promotions, retirements, changes of command, memorials. I knew what it meant to mark the end of something. The restaurant was called Willow Pine, though there were no willows, and the only pine I saw was printed on the paper cocktail napkins. Owen had reserved the private dining room near the back, the one with fake brick walls and framed black and white photographs of downtown Fredericksburg, before parking meters. When we arrived, he stopped me outside the door. "Wait. For what? You can't just walk in. I've been walking into rooms unassisted since the 70s. He put both hands on my shoulders. "Can you let one thing be special?" His tone stayed playful, but his thumbs pressed harder than they needed to. I looked at him. He looked handsome in a navy blazer that had become a little tight across the middle. Owen had silver at his temples now, and when he smiled, the years fell off him. That smile had talked me into a second date, a courthouse wedding during a 4-day weekend, and a pale yellow house with plumbing we could barely afford. "All right," I said. "Make it special." He kissed my forehead, opened the door, and shouted, "Look who finally decided to retire." The room cheered. I knew most of the faces, but not all of them. Sergeant First Class Lila Boone had driven down from Fort Belvoir and was already waving both hands. My old warrant officer, Calvin Price, stood beside her, wearing a tie printed with tiny forklifts. My mother sat near the center in a purple suit and enough perfume to establish a defensive perimeter. Claire came at me from the left and hugged me before I could put down my purse. "You wore the blue dress," she said. "You told me to. I've been telling you to wear it for 6 years. I was waiting for the appropriate operational environment." Claire pulled back and looked me over. At 28, she had Owen's expressive face and my habit of noticing exits. Her dark hair was pinned up with 2 wooden sticks, and there was flour on the sleeve of her green wrap dress. "You were baking today," I said. She glanced down. "Occupational hazard. For the restaurant?" "For a restaurant." I narrowed my eyes. She smiled too quickly and squeezed my arm. "Tonight, you're off duty. No interrogations. People only say that when they have something to hide. Mom. Claire." She laughed, but color climbed into her cheeks. Before I could ask another question, Owen's sister Beth appeared with a drink in each hand. "There she is," Beth said, "America's most terrifying retiree." Beth had been calling me terrifying for 23 years, usually right before asking me to fix something. Her car registration, her father's medication chart, the seating arrangement at her second wedding. She handed me a gin and tonic. Double. "I'm driving." "Owen said you weren't." I looked across the room. Owen was moving between tables, touching shoulders, checking place cards, directing Marcy toward the cake. He caught me looking and lifted his eyebrows as though asking whether everything met inspection. I wasn't informed of the transportation plan, I said. Beth sipped her drink. That man has been planning this like the invasion of Normandy. People always say Normandy when they mean a lot of work. That right there is why civilians find you exhausting. I thought it was because I fold fitted sheets. Nobody trusts a person who can fold a fitted sheet. She clinked her glass against mine and moved away. On the gift table, someone had placed a framed photograph of me in uniform beside a wooden sign that read, "Mission Accomplished." The photograph was 5 years old. I was standing at a promotion ceremony with my mouth caught halfway between a smile and an order. Next to it sat a shadow box from my unit, still covered in tissue paper, and a stack of envelopes held down by a brass compass. I touched the compass. "Don't open anything yet," Owen called from across the room. "I'm touching, not opening. I know you." The truth was, he did know me, or he had. There are years in a marriage when knowing somebody becomes less about curiosity and more about efficient labeling. Dana likes black coffee. Dana hates clutter. Dana will handle it. Owen had not asked how I felt about retirement more than once, and when I said I wasn't sure, he answered, "You'll figure it out. You always do." My mother waved me toward her table. "Sit down so I can see you," she ordered. "You can see me standing. I can see your posture. I want your face." I sat beside her. She cupped my cheek with one cool hand, then immediately frowned at my eye makeup. "Claire did this?" "I did it." "Oh." Her expression suggested I had repaired a transmission with a butter knife. "It's nice. Thank you for the confidence." She leaned closer. "Owen has gone all out. So I've noticed. He deserves tonight, too." The sentence came in softly, almost tenderly, which made it harder to push away. I didn't say he didn't. I know you didn't. I'm saying it before you do. Before I do what? My mother adjusted the cuff of her purple jacket. "Get that look." "What look?" "The one where everybody becomes a problem you're solving." I picked up my water. "I just got here. And you've counted every chair." There were 38 chairs, 2 high-backed booster seats stacked unused by the service door, 4 fire extinguishers visible from where I sat, and a cable from the portable speaker taped badly enough to catch a heel. "I haven't counted anything," I said. My mother smiled. "Of course not." Dinner began with the predictable confusion of people ignoring place cards. Calvin switched seats so he could sit near Lila. Beth wanted to be closer to the bar. My mother refused the chair beneath the air vent because cold air was, in her opinion, a personal attack. I moved 3 settings, found a safe route for Marcy's tray, and sat down only after everyone else had stopped moving. Owen leaned toward me. "You know you don't work here. I moved a fork. You reorganized the table." The fork started it. That made him laugh. For a moment, we were ourselves again. He took my hand under the table and rubbed his thumb over my knuckles. His palm was warm. Mine was cold. "You happy?" he asked. It was such a direct question that I almost answered honestly. "I'm overwhelmed." "That's happy adjacent. Is it?" "Tonight it is." He squeezed my hand and released it when the appetizers arrived. People told stories over dinner. Lila described the time I rerouted a convoy because a bridge report looked wrong, then discovered a county crew had closed the road without updating anybody. Calvin reminded everyone that I once made a lieutenant count 600 folding cots twice because he had guessed the first time. "He never guessed around Master Sergeant Holt again," Calvin said. "He never spoke around Master Sergeant Holt again," Lila corrected. The table laughed. I laughed too because the lieutenant in question was now a dentist in Arizona and because the story was funny. Still, I noticed that every story ended with me fixing something. Nobody mentioned the nights I sat in my car before going inside because I needed 5 minutes when nobody required an answer. Nobody could have known about those. I had made sure of it. During the main course, Claire barely ate. She kept checking her phone beneath the table and exchanging glances with Owen. "What's going on?" I asked her. "Nothing." "You're a bad liar. You raised me that way. I raised you to tell the truth. No, you raised me to bring supporting documentation." Owen heard that and laughed too loudly. I looked from him to Claire. "Should I be concerned?" "No," they said together. "That should have concerned me." Then dessert plates appeared, the lights dimmed slightly, and Owen tapped a spoon against his glass. The room settled. He began well. That mattered later, because I would replay the speech enough times to know exactly where it changed. He talked about meeting me when I was 24 and home on leave, wearing jeans that fit badly and correcting the bartender's directions to Richmond. He said he had fallen in love with my certainty. He described our first apartment where the heating unit rattled like loose ammunition, and the night we ate canned soup on the floor because our furniture had not arrived. People smiled at me. I smiled back. Then Owen said, "A military career is never served by one person." True enough. He thanked Claire first. He told her she had grown up understanding that birthdays could be moved and phone calls could end without warning. Claire looked down at her hands. He thanked Beth and Patrick for being available when he needed family close. He thanked my mother for helping keep the home fires burning, a phrase my mother received as if he had pinned something on her. He thanked Doug Mercer, his former business partner, for holding a place for him even after Owen turned down opportunities, because my orders came first. Doug raised his glass. He thanked the spouses who taught him how to pack a house, choose schools in unfamiliar cities, and pretend each move was an adventure. He thanked Dale, apparently, for helping him rebuild a deck during my second deployment. Dale thumped his chest in acknowledgement. Each thank you was reasonable by itself. That was what made the whole thing so disorienting. I waited for my name. Owen thanked the restaurant staff. Then he spread his arms and said, "All of you helped us survive Dana's Army career. Survive. Not share, not support, survive." "And now," he continued, turning to me, "after 27 years of Uncle Sam getting the best of this family, it's finally our turn." Everyone stood. I stayed seated for 3 beats too long. Owen's smile flickered. He held out his hand, signaling me to stand, and the instinct to help him was so automatic that my knees actually moved. Then I looked at Claire. Her eyes were bright with excitement and worry. I looked at the brass compass on the gift table, at my photograph beside "Mission Accomplished," at Owen waiting for me to make his speech land correctly. I stood, but I didn't take his hand. "I need some air," I said. Owen kept smiling because everyone was still watching. "Hold on, we're not done. I am." His face changed. "Dana," he said under the applause, "you're going to ruin the surprise." I picked up my purse, walked past the cake with my name on it, and opened the door. Behind me, Owen called my name again. For 27 years, I had turned around whenever somebody needed me. That night, I kept walking. The hallway outside the private room smelled like lemon cleaner and somebody else's garlic dinner. I made it past the restrooms before the door opened behind me. Dana. Owen's voice had lost its party polish. I pushed through the front entrance. Cool air hit my face, along with the noise from Route 1. The parking lot was wet from a rain I hadn't noticed during dinner. Headlights stretched across the pavement in red and white smears. "Would you stop?" I stopped because he was my husband, not because he had given an order. Owen came outside without his blazer. His tie hung loose, and he had left his champagne glass somewhere inside. For 1 second, I saw the man who used to meet me at airports looking a little stunned that I had returned in one piece. "What was that?" he asked. "I needed to leave." "You walked out in the middle of my speech. You finished your speech." "No, I didn't. There's a whole presentation. That sounds wonderful. Don't do that." "Do what?" "That voice where you're technically calm but every word has a knife in it." I glanced back at the restaurant doors. Faces moved behind the glass. Beth's purple-red hair was unmistakable. So was my mother's jacket. "They're watching us," I said. "I'm aware." "Then go back inside. You're the reason they're here." That landed in a place already bruised. "No," I said. "According to your speech, they're here because they survived me." His mouth opened and closed. "That is not what I said. It is exactly what you said. Dana, for God's sake, I was thanking people. I noticed." He rubbed both hands down his face. "Come back inside. Let me finish. And then if you want to be angry, we can have this out at home." If he had said hurt instead of angry, I might have gone back. Instead, he reached for my elbow. I stepped away. His hand dropped. "Seriously? I'm not going back in there. You don't even know what I did for you. I know what you said about me. I barely got to the point. You thanked Marcy." He stared at me. "The waitress," I said. "I know who Marcy is. Good. Somebody should." The restaurant door opened again. Lila stepped out wearing a red wool coat over her black dress. She took in Owen's shirt sleeves, my purse on my shoulder, and the distance between us. "I've got her," she said. Owen looked at her. "This is between me and my wife." Lila nodded. "Which is why I'm not asking what happened. I'm offering her a ride. She doesn't need a ride. Didn't say she did." I could almost hear Lila making the same calculation she had made 100 times in uniform. Identify the unstable element, lower the temperature, preserve dignity. She was better at it than people realized because she enjoyed letting them think she was impulsive. Owen turned back to me. "I arranged for a car to take us home after the surprise." "I'm not going home." That was the first thing I said that frightened both of us. Lila didn't react. Owen did. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not going home tonight." "You're leaving me over a speech?" "I'm getting a room over a speech. Can you hear yourself?" "Clearly. Because from where I'm standing, you're blowing up your retirement dinner before you even know what your family did for you." There it was again. What your family did for you. A burst of laughter came through the wall from inside, thin and misplaced. Someone was keeping the room alive. "You should go back," I said. "They're waiting. So are you." "No, I'm leaving." Lila held up her keys. Owen looked from her to me. "If you go now, I'm not chasing you around Fredericksburg all night. I didn't ask you to." He flinched, and I hated that part of me was relieved to see I could still hurt him. It was a small, ugly relief. I put it away with the other things I had no time to examine. "You always do this," he said. "Do what?" "Turn everything into a final decision." I said one night. "You left a room full of people, and you're still standing in the parking lot." His jaw tightened. "Fine." The word came out flat. He backed toward the door. "Go," he said, "but don't blame me when you realize what you walked away from." He went inside without his blazer. Lila waited until the door closed. "You want me to say something useful or drive?" "Drive." "Excellent choice. I'm much better at that." Her car was a 10-year-old Subaru with fast food napkins in the door pocket and a small plastic skeleton tied to the rearview mirror. "What is that?" I asked as I buckled in. "That's Lieutenant Bones." "Why?" "He doesn't ask questions when I make bad decisions." She started the engine. The heater came on at full force and blew cold air at our knees. "Home?" she asked. "No." "All right." She pulled onto the road. After 2 traffic lights, she said, "You got a preferred hotel chain. Clean, ambitious, indoor plumbing. Now you're just being spoiled." I looked out the window. Every restaurant we passed seemed aggressively cheerful. Neon beer signs, couples leaning across tables, a man carrying 3 pizza boxes through the rain with his jacket held over his head. My phone vibrated inside my purse, then again, then 3 times in quick succession. Lila glanced at the bag. "Sounds like they found you." I took out the phone. 9 messages, 2 missed calls from Owen, 1 from my mother, 3 from Claire. Beth had sent, "Please don't make tonight worse." Patrick had written, "You good?" Calvin had sent a single question mark, which was the most emotional punctuation I had ever received from him. Claire's first message said, "Mom, where are you?" The second said, "Please come back. Dad is losing it." The third arrived while I was reading. "You don't understand what the surprise is." I turned the phone face down on my thigh. You can turn that off, Lila said. I know, just establishing options. I'm not afraid of the phone. I know that too. She drove another mile before asking, Did you know about whatever they planned? No. Claire did. Yes. Owen? Obviously. Your mother? I don't know. Beth had the face. What face? The face people get when they know a secret and think it makes them important. Despite myself, I smiled. Lila tapped the steering wheel. There she is, don't. Wasn't doing anything. You were trying to cheer me up. I would never disrespect you like that. We found a hotel beside an office park and across from a 24-hour pharmacy. The lobby had gray tile, a fake fireplace, and a bowl of apples polished to an unnatural shine. A television mounted near the ceiling showed a basketball game with the sound off. The desk clerk looked young enough to call me ma'am with sincerity, but he had a wedding ring and exhaustion under both eyes, so I reminded myself that adulthood came in more than one face. One room, I said. One night. Lila stood beside me while I handed over my license and credit card. The clerk glanced at my dress. Special occasion? No, I said. Yes, Lila said at the same time. He looked between us and wisely returned to his keyboard. My room was on the 3rd floor. Lila carried nothing because I had nothing to carry. Inside, I set my purse on the desk and checked the bathroom, the window latch, and the connecting door before I took off my shoes. Lila sat in the upholstered chair by the air conditioner. You always inspect hotel rooms? She asked. Yes. You know you're retired now. I didn't turn stupid at 1700 hours. Just checking. My phone vibrated again. Lila crossed one ankle over the other. Want company? No. Want me to pretend you want company? I looked at her. She stood. I'll text when I get home. If you need anything, call. I won't. I know. That's why I said it. At the door, she paused. For what it's worth, the speech was bad. Thank you. But you do have a habit of letting people think you're fine until you're halfway down the road. I was at the end of the hallway. Metaphorical road. I understood. Her hand rested on the doorknob. Owen has spent a lot of years telling the story of what he gave up. He did give things up. I didn't say he didn't. That sounded enough like my mother that I almost laughed. Lila opened the door. Just make sure his version doesn't become yours because it's easier than arguing. After she left, the room got very quiet. I took out the pins Claire had helped me choose and placed them in a straight line on the desk. I washed off my makeup with hotel soap because I hadn't packed anything. The soap smelled like cucumber and left my face tight. There was no t-shirt to change into, so I put on the white hotel robe. It barely reached my knees. The mirror showed a middle-aged woman dressed for a spa she had no intention of enjoying. I sat on the edge of the bed and called Claire. She answered before the first full ring. Mom. Her voice cracked on the word. Where are you? I asked. At the restaurant. Where are you? I'm safe. That's not what I asked. I'm at a hotel. Which hotel? I'm not giving you the room number. I didn't ask for the room number. You were going to. She exhaled hard. Behind her, I heard dishes and several voices trying not to sound interested. Dad told everybody to leave, she said. That's probably best. No, it isn't best. This was supposed to be good. What was? Silence. Claire. I thought you knew some of it. You knew I didn't. I knew he wanted it to be a surprise. I didn't know he hadn't talked to you about the general idea. What general idea? Someone spoke near her. Claire moved and the background noise changed. Can you come back? She asked. No. Then can I come to you? Not tonight. Mom, please don't do the thing where you shut down and make everybody submit requests in writing. I looked at the neat row of hairpins. I called you. I know. So tell me what I left before. She took a breath. Dad leased the old Barlow's place on Jefferson Davis. I knew it. Low brick building, broad front windows, empty since the previous winter. For what? A restaurant. Owen leased a restaurant? We did. The word "we" sat between us. What kind of restaurant? Barbecue, mostly. and a bakery section for me. We've been working on it for months." I stood without realizing it. The robe loosened and I pulled the belt tighter. Months? Dad wanted to wait until tonight. Why tonight? Because it's for all of us. No, a restaurant is not for all of us. It is for the people who agreed to open a restaurant. Mom, just listen. I'm listening. Claire's voice became careful. It's called Homefront. For a second, I thought she had said the word wrong. What? Homefront. Dad designed the whole concept around the family, around your service. He has pictures and menu ideas, and there's going to be a display with your uniform. My uniform? He thought you'd like it. Where did he get my uniform? I don't know. Maybe he hasn't yet. There were mock-ups in the presentation. I closed my eyes. And what? I asked. Was I supposed to do at this restaurant? Claire didn't answer quickly enough. Claire. Operations, she said. Scheduling, inventory, vendors, the things you're good at. I sat back down. On the other end of the call, my daughter began crying quietly, which was somehow worse than if she had accused me of anything. Dad said you'd be excited, she whispered. My phone lit with an incoming picture from Beth. Owen stood beneath a projected image of a restaurant logo, holding up a black apron for the half-empty room. Across the chest, in large white letters, it read, "Retired reporting for kitchen duty." I looked at the picture until the screen dimmed. Then I said, "Claire, put your father on the phone." Claire didn't move. Put him on. He's upset. So am I. I know, but he just stood in front of everybody and tried to explain why you weren't here. I didn't ask him to do that. He had to say something. No, he wanted to say something. Those are different. A muffled voice came through the phone. Owen, asking who she was talking to as if there were several possibilities. Claire said, "It's Mom." Another pause. "Put her on speaker," he said. "No," I said. "Take me off speaker and hand him the phone." "Mom, please." It was the please that moved her. I heard fabric rustle, footsteps, then Owen breathing into the receiver. "Where are you?" "Not important." "It's important to me." "What money did you use?" He gave a short laugh with no humor in it. "Of course, that's your first question? What money, Owen?" "Mine. We're married. My catering savings. The account you've referred to as my little food hobby for the last 15 years. I have never called it that. You didn't have to. Every time we moved, my work was the flexible one. Every time something came up, I was the one who could start over. That doesn't answer me. And Claire put in some of her savings. Not that you asked." My stomach tightened. "How much?" "That is between me and Claire. She's my daughter. She's 28. I pressed my fingers to my forehead. "Did you borrow against the house?" "No." "Use our retirement savings?" "No." "Take out debt in both our names?" "No, Master Sergeant. I did not compromise the perimeter. Don't call me that. You've been happy to be called that all night." The quiet on the line changed. I could hear him walking, then a door shut and the restaurant noise disappeared. "I wanted one night," he said, lower now. "One night where I did something big for you and you didn't pick it apart before I finished. You leased a building. Yes, you designed a business around my service. Our life. You assigned me a job. I gave you a place in it. I didn't ask for one. What were you going to do, Dana?" The question came so quickly that I knew he had been saving it. Retire, that isn't an activity. It can be. For how long? 6 weeks? 2 months? Before you started organizing the neighbors' garages? I don't know. That was the point. You hate not knowing. I wanted to try it. He sighed. "You've talked about us doing something together for years. We talked about traveling. We can travel later. We talked about taking a year. We were fantasizing. Adults make plans. You made a plan. For us. Without me. Because I know you. If I had brought you into it too early, you would have made a risk matrix and killed the whole thing. You're describing a reason to surprise me with dinner, not a reason to lease commercial property. I knew you'd be scared." The anger came so cleanly that it steadied me. I am not scared of your restaurant. Our restaurant? No. You haven't even seen it. I don't have to tour a place before deciding I don't work there. It's not about work, it's about family. Then why did you give me a job description? He went silent. I looked again at the photograph Beth had sent. Owen held the apron stretched between his hands. Behind him, the projected Homefront logo showed a roofline over a set of dog tags. The image was too polished to be recent. How long? I asked. We signed the lease in April. It was October. 6 months of appointments, calls, sketches, and conversations. 6 months of Owen sitting across from me at breakfast asking whether I wanted more coffee. You've been lying to me since April. I've been planning a surprise since April. If I secretly enlisted you in the Army, would you call that a surprise? That is ridiculous. It's the same problem with a different uniform. I did not enlist you in anything. You can walk away. I just did. He inhaled sharply. In the hall outside my room, an ice machine dropped a load of cubes with a mechanical crash. You embarrassed me, Owen said. I almost laughed. You stood in front of my friends at my retirement dinner and announced I had spent 27 years taking the best from my family. That's not what I meant. It's what you said. I was acknowledging people. Except me. I was getting to you. When? At the end. The reveal was about you. The apron was about me. It was a joke. Explain it. What? Explain why it's funny. You know what? No, I'm not doing one of your interrogations. You thanked the waitress before you thanked your wife, and your plan was to finish by handing me an apron. It was symbolic. So is a white flag. He made a sound that was half groan, half laugh. Come home, he said. We are not doing this over Claire's phone. Claire needs her phone. Then call mine. I'm not coming home tonight. You already made that dramatic announcement. It wasn't dramatic. It was information. Everything is information to you, and everything is theater to you. The words landed. Owen breathed once into the phone, slow and controlled. Be careful, he said. Of what? Of deciding that because I got this wrong, none of it counts. None of the years. None of what I gave up. You walked out like I was some stranger trying to take advantage of you. I walked out because my husband had spent 6 months planning my future with everyone but me. I was trying to give us something that couldn't be transferred, deployed, or canceled by the Army. I'm out now, exactly. No, Owen, listen to the words. I am out. That doesn't mean I report to you. Another long silence. Then he said, You need sleep. You need to give Claire back her phone. He did. Claire came on quietly. Mom, I'm sorry you got put in the middle. I'm not in the middle. I'm part of the business. You're in the middle of this conversation. I chose the restaurant. Did you choose me working there? She hesitated. Dad said you wanted something useful to do. Did I say that to you? No. Then don't tell yourself you knew. It'll make things worse later. That's unfair. It may be. You haven't asked anything about my bakery. She sounded younger when she said it. Not like a child, but like the woman she had become, still carried old versions of herself into arguments with me. You're right, I said. That stopped her. I should have asked, I continued. Tell me. Not like this. Claire. No. You don't get to switch into supportive mom mode because you realized you missed a line item. I sat very still. All right, I said. I need to go. Are you driving? Beth is taking me home. Text me when you get there. She laughed bitterly. You don't get to be in charge of my convoy either. Then she hung up. I slept in pieces. Every time the heater clicked on, I thought someone had opened the door. At 2 a.m, I got up and removed the hairpins from the straight line I had made, dropping them into my purse without counting them. At 5, my body decided the night was over. The hotel coffee tasted like hot cardboard, but it was black. I carried it to a table near the fake fireplace and opened my phone. Owen had sent one message at 1:14. The restaurant matters to me. I thought that would matter to you. Claire had texted that she was home. Nothing else. My mother had left a voicemail. Dana, this is your mother. Obviously. I don't know why people say that on voicemail. Call me when you've finished making your point. Beth had sent another photograph. This one showed the cake after most of the guests had gone. My name was still written across the top in gold icing. A large corner had been cut away, taking the last 2 letters with it. Congratulations, Da. I put down the phone. The desk clerk from the night before was gone. A woman with silver braids stood behind the counter reading a paperback while the breakfast television discussed weather moving in from the west. I went across the road to the pharmacy when it opened. I bought a toothbrush, deodorant, face cream, 2 plain t-shirts, sweatpants, underwear, socks, and a phone charger. The cashier looked at the blue dress under my unbuttoned coat. "Long night?" she asked. Apparently, she nodded as if that covered a recognized category of emergency. Back in the hotel room, I changed and folded the dress over the back of the desk chair. Then I called the front desk and extended my stay 1 more night. After that, I opened a blank message to Owen. I typed 3 versions and deleted all of them. The first was too angry. The second sounded like an operations order. The third apologized for leaving before it said what he had done. I started again. I will not work at Homefront. You do not have my permission to use my name, uniform, photographs, medals, assignments, or service as part of the restaurant. Do not remove anything of mine from the house. I will arrange a time to collect clothes and personal items. I need space, and I'm not coming home today. I read it twice and sent it. His reply arrived less than a minute later. So that's it? 27 years and you issue terms by text? I set the phone down. It buzzed again. The uniform display was meant to honor you. Claire worked on it for weeks. Then, you are punishing everyone because I didn't say thank you fast enough. I turned the phone off. For several minutes, I stood in the center of the room with no one able to reach me. The feeling was not relief. It was closer to stepping off a transport in darkness and realizing the ground was farther away than expected. I bent my knees, caught my balance, and stayed upright. The first thing I did was make a list, not because I needed one. I owned a toothbrush, 2 shirts, and 1 pair of sweatpants. There was no danger of losing track of my resources. Still, I took the hotel notepad and wrote, clothes medication, laptop important papers, running shoes, coffee maker. I stared at the last item, crossed it out, then wrote it again. The coffee maker had been a Christmas gift from Claire. Owen preferred the complicated silver machine that hissed like an angry radiator. Mine was a red drip model with 1 switch and no opinions. I turned on my phone at 9. 23 notifications arrived in a swarm. Most were messages from people who had attended the dinner. Some asked if I was all right. Others said Owen meant well, which was apparently the emotional equivalent of putting a tarp over a collapsed roof. Calvin had expanded beyond punctuation. Saw the apron. Request permission to punch Mercer in throat. I wrote back, request denied. His response came immediately, copy, standing by. Lila wanted to know whether I had eaten. Beth wanted to know whether I understood how much work had gone into the evening. Patrick sent a second, you good? As though increased frequency might improve the question. My mother called while I was reading. I answered. You turned off your phone, she said. Yes. What if something had happened? Something did happen. You know what I mean. I sat at the small desk. Did you know about the restaurant? A pause. Not long, but long enough. I knew Owen had a plan. What plan did you know? He called it a family restaurant. Did you know I was expected to work there? He said you would finally have something the 2 of you could build together. That isn't what I asked. My mother sighed. I did not see a staffing chart, Dana. Did you know they were using my Army career as the theme? I knew the name. Homefront. I thought it was sweet. Of course you did. Watch your tone. I closed my eyes. At 74, my mother could still make me feel 13 with 4 words. She had spent 31 years as a hospital receptionist and believed tone was the thin line between civilization and people throwing clipboards. Why didn't you ask me about it? I said. It was a surprise. Everybody keeps using that word like it suspends common sense. Owen was excited. Claire was excited. They wanted to do something as a family. They wanted me to do inventory. You like inventory. I'm good at inventory. That isn't the same thing. I don't understand why you're determined to see the ugliest possible version of this. I saw the apron. That was unfortunate. Unfortunate? It was a joke that did not land. Was the speech also a joke? No. The speech was a husband trying to recognize all the people who helped him through a difficult life. There it was. Not cruel, not even inaccurate. That was what made it effective. I was in that life too, I said. I know. He didn't seem to. He was going to thank you after presenting me with my next assignment. My mother was quiet. Through the wall, someone's shower started. Pipes knocked behind the bathroom mirror. You embarrassed him, she said at last. He embarrassed me. Then you should have told him privately. He made it public. That doesn't mean you had to. I picked up the hotel pen and pressed the retractable button with my thumb. Click, click. Do you remember my promotion dinner at Fort Hood? I asked. What does that have to do with anything? Owen gave a speech about missing his chance to open a second catering location because we were moving. He did miss it. I know. I spent that entire night apologizing to people. You were sensitive about it. No. He made my promotion sound like an eviction notice. That was 12 years ago. I know exactly how long ago it was. She softened her voice. Dana, marriage is not a ledger. Then why does everyone keep presenting me with his bill? The line went quiet enough that I checked the screen to see whether the call had dropped. My mother spoke carefully. Your father came second to my work for years. No, he didn't. You were not inside our marriage. Neither of you moved every 2 years. That isn't the only way to come second. I stopped clicking the pen. My father had died 7 years earlier. In family stories, he had become gentle and uncomplicated. A man in a brown cardigan who repaired lamps and never raised his voice. The living version had been funnier, harder, occasionally petty, and capable of sulking through an entire Sunday because my mother accepted an extra shift. I'm not Owen, I said. No, you're not. But you have your father's talent for leaving the room before anyone can say the thing you don't want to hear. I stood though there was nowhere to go. What thing? That somebody can love you and still be tired of arranging their life around you. The sentence struck cleanly because I had thought it myself in worse language. I have to get my things, I said. Dana, I'll call you later. You always say that when you mean you won't. Then I'll call when I can mean it. I ended the call before she could answer. Owen responded to my message just before 10. I'll be at home front until 2. Take whatever you need. We can talk tonight. I did not agree to the second sentence. Lila picked me up wearing jeans, a gray sweatshirt, and mirrored sunglasses despite the overcast sky. She handed me a paper bag before I had fully closed the passenger door. What's this? Egg sandwich. I ate. No, you drank hotel coffee and considered it a meal. You don't know that. You text differently when you've had protein. I looked inside the bag. There's hot sauce. I'm not an animal. The sandwich was still warm. I ate half of it on the drive. Our yellow house looked exactly as it had the day before, which felt offensive. A delivery flyer stuck out of the mailbox. The upstairs curtain needed to be rehung on one side. 2 planters Owen had promised to empty still held dead summer flowers. His SUV was gone. Lila parked at the curb. Want me inside? No, I can sit quietly. You cannot. True. I'll be 20 minutes. I brought a book. She held up a paperback with a shirtless man on the cover. That is not a book. It has chapters. I left her defending literature and walked to the front door. My key worked. I had not expected otherwise, but I felt the tension leave my shoulders when the lock turned. The house smelled like coffee and vanilla icing. Gifts from the dinner covered the dining table. The brass compass sat on top of a stack of cards. Our framed wedding photograph had been moved to the sideboard to make room. My retirement cake occupied half the kitchen counter. Someone had wrapped the cut edge in plastic. Without the missing corner, the inscription now read, Congratulations, DA. I put my purse down and went upstairs. The bedroom showed signs of Owen's bad night. His dress shirt lay on the floor. One pillow had no case because he pulled it off when he couldn't sleep. The blue tie from dinner hung over the lampshade. I opened the closet. My dress uniform was still in its black garment bag at the back, beside winter coats and a suit I had not worn since my father's funeral. I touched the zipper tab, reassuring myself with the simple fact of its location. Then I packed. Underwear, socks, 4 pairs of pants, sweaters, workout clothes, running shoes. I added my medication and toiletries from the bathroom. The ordinary intimacy of the drawers made my throat tighten more than the dinner had. Owen's razor beside my face cream, his bottle of antacids. The tiny sewing kit I used to repair his shirt buttons because he claimed needles disliked him. In the office, my laptop was missing from the desk. I checked the drawer. Empty. Then I remembered I had taken it to the retirement center the previous week and left it in my car, which was still parked at the restaurant. I stood there annoyed at myself for the flare of suspicion. A stack of glossy papers sat on the printer tray. The top page showed the Homefront logo. Below it was a sample menu. Fort Bragg brisket. Deployment wings. The Sergeant Major platter. I was not a Sergeant Major. Even their appropriation lacked attention to detail. The page beneath it showed a wall design labeled Dana's Journey. Small squares marked spaces for photographs from Fort Lee, Fort Hood, Kuwait, and Germany. A larger rectangle in the center read Dress Uniform Display. Across the bottom, in Owen's handwriting, were the words, Ask D about medal order after reveal, after, as though consent were the final decorative step. I heard the front door open. Dana? Claire? I gathered the pages and went to the landing. She stood below me in jeans and a black kitchen jacket, her hair pulled into a rough knot. Flour marked one cheek. She looked exhausted and angry. What are you doing here? I asked. I live 15 minutes away. Dad told me you were coming. I asked why you're here, and I answered. Her gaze dropped to the duffel bag beside my feet. You're really leaving, for now. Where? A hotel. You hate hotels. I've lived in tents. That doesn't mean you like them. She came up 3 steps, then stopped when she saw the pages in my hand. You went through Dad's things. They were on my printer. It's both your printer. Apparently, the restaurant is both our restaurant, so words may not mean much today. Her face tightened. Don't do that to me. Do what? Talk like I'm one of your soldiers who screwed up. I set the pages on the banister. You didn't screw up. I helped plan the thing that made you walk out. Yes. You could at least yell. I'm not going to yell because it would make you feel better. That is so. She stopped and pressed the heels of her hands into her eyes. Do you know how hard I've worked on this? No, I said. Nobody told me. I have tested recipes every night for 4 months. I designed the bakery cases. I found local suppliers. I quit Sorella's. I stared at her. Sorella's was the hotel bakery where she had worked for 5 years through dawn shifts and holiday banquets, waiting for the executive pastry position to open. You quit? 3 weeks ago. Why didn't you tell me? Because Dad said you'd worry. He said once you saw the whole thing, you would understand. And did you believe him? I wanted to. The answer changed the room. Claire sat on the stairs, not dramatically. She simply seemed to lose the desire to remain standing. I put $30,000 into it, she said. I gripped the banister. That's almost everything you saved. I know how much it is. Does the lease have your name on it? Yes. Do you have a partnership agreement? Yes. Have you had anyone independent review it? She gave me a tired, furious look. There you are. What does that mean? Inventory, documents, risk. You can't ask if I'm scared or excited, but you can ask whether I filed the right paperwork. You told me you put almost everything you have into a restaurant that hasn't opened, and your first instinct is to inspect my judgment. My first instinct is to protect you. No. Your first instinct is to assess the situation. Protection comes after you decide whether I deserve it. I sat on the top step. Below us, the refrigerator motor started humming. Claire looked at the duffel bag, then at me. "I wanted you there," she said. "Not because of inventory. I wanted you to see me do something good." I would have. You missed plenty of things you said you'd be there for. I accepted the hit without correcting her. She stood. "Dad was wrong," she said. "He should have asked you. But you walking out didn't only punish him. I wasn't punishing anyone. That doesn't mean nobody got hurt." She walked past me to the bedroom. A moment later, I heard her open the closet. "What are you doing?" I asked. She came back holding my black garment bag. "Dad asked me to bring this to the restaurant." I stood. "No." Her fingers tightened around the hanger. For the first time since I had opened the front door, neither of us pretended we were discussing anything small. "Dad said it was only for the display mock-up," Claire said. I said no. He asked me before you sent that text, and now you know the answer. She held the hanger between us. The garment bag was heavy with the jacket, skirt, shirt, and the small plastic case where I kept ribbons I no longer wore. A white dry cleaning tag fluttered near her wrist. "Fine," she said. She turned toward the closet. "Claire." "What?" "Bring it here." Her chin lifted. "You think I'm going to steal your uniform? I think you walked into my bedroom and removed it after I explicitly said it wasn't going to the restaurant. I was putting it back. Then give it to me." She came down the hall and handed me the garment bag. Neither of us released it immediately. "I would never take this without your permission," she said. "You just did. I took it out of the closet. I didn't leave the house. That distinction is doing a lot of work." She dropped her end. I laid the bag across the bed and checked the zipper. The jacket was inside. Medals were stored in their case in the dresser, not attached to it, and I opened the drawer to confirm they were there. Claire watched from the doorway. "Do you think Dad would take them? I'm checking my belongings. You think he's a thief now?" "No. Then what are you doing? Making sure everybody understands what belongs to me." She laughed once. "That's convenient. What is? You get to draw boundaries after 27 years of crossing everyone else's." I closed the drawer. "Tell me which boundary I crossed." "Seriously?" "Yes." She folded her arms. "When I was at Sorella's, you called the banquet manager because my schedule changed and I missed your mother's birthday dinner. You'd worked 11 days in a row. I was 24. You were being taken advantage of. I told you not to call." The memory came back with embarrassing clarity. I had called him from a parking lot and said the words, "labor code." Claire's schedule improved. She also stopped telling me when she was overworked. "You're right," I said. I crossed a line. "That easy?" "No. It sounds easy." "What do you want me to do?" "Argue." "I don't know. Normally you do." I sat on the edge of the bed beside the uniform. "You said boundaries. Give me another one." Her expression shifted. She had expected resistance, not an invitation. "When I moved into my apartment, you changed the deadbolt. It didn't latch. You did it while I was at work. Your landlord let me in. I didn't." I nodded. "You reorganized my pantry," she continued. "There were moths. There was one moth. One visible moth. Do you hear yourself?" "Yes." She looked toward the window where a thin rain had begun tapping the glass. "You showed up at my first pastry competition with a cooler," she said. "The venue's refrigeration failed the year before. I know why you brought it. Everybody knew why. You told the organizers where to position their backup tables. They were blocking an electrical panel. Mom, I'm sorry. No, you're not. You still think the electrical panel mattered more. It did matter." She made a helpless sound. "But," I said, "I didn't need to be the person who corrected it." That slowed her down. "I wanted you there as my mother," she said, "not as emergency management. I thought I was helping. Dad always says that's how you love people. He says a lot of things for me. Because you don't." I looked at her. She lowered her arms. "You don't say things. You do things and expect us to translate." I said I was proud of you. "At the competition?" "Yes." "You said my chocolate temper was precise." "It was." That is not the same sentence. It was to me. Her eyes filled, and she turned away before anything fell. I had faced angry colonels, grieving families, young soldiers pretending they were not terrified. My instinct in difficult rooms was to become quieter until everybody else had space to lose control. Claire had grown up reading that quiet as judgment. "I was proud of you," I said. "I am proud of you. Not because your chocolate was precise. Because you built a skill I don't have, and you kept working when people treated pastry like decoration instead of a profession. I should have said it without making you decode me." She rubbed at her cheek, smearing the flour. "You practiced that in the last 30 seconds?" "No." It sounded rehearsed. "I have been told my sincere delivery needs work." That earned a wet, unwilling laugh. I took a tissue from the bedside table and held it out. She crossed the room to take it. "Tell me about the bakery," I said. "You asked last night. You said not like that. This isn't exactly better." "No, but I'm here." She sat in Owen's chair near the window, leaving the uniform between us like a sleeping third person. "The front section used to be a bar," she said. "We're lowering half the counter and putting in a pastry case. Morning coffee, biscuits, laminated doughs on weekends. Not 50 kinds. 6 things done well. That sounds smart. Dad wants pies, do you? 3. Apple, chocolate chess, seasonal. Still 6 things. Pies are separate. That sounds like catering math. It is not catering math. It's genetically similar." She rolled her eyes, but some of the stiffness left her shoulders. She told me about a local flour supplier near Culpeper and a woman in Spotsylvania who made jams. She had designed an orange cardamom morning bun she believed could draw people even before the lunch crowd. The pastry case was second-hand but in good condition. The oven was not. "How bad?" I asked. "Don't." I asked a bakery question. "You asked it in your logistics voice. I only have the one voice. You have several. You just pretend you don't." She described the oven. I listened without offering a solution. It required physical effort. When she finished, I said, "It sounds like you know what you want." "I do, and it sounds like it could work." She studied me. "Even though I put too much money in?" "I didn't say that." There she is. I can believe in you and still think $30,000 is a lot of money. It was my decision. Yes. Dad didn't pressure me. I didn't say he did. He showed me the place, and I wanted it. All right? He said you'd help, but that wasn't why I signed. All right, stop saying it like that. How should I say it? I don't know. We sat with our separate frustrations. Down at the curb, Lila tapped the horn once. I checked the clock. I had been inside 43 minutes. I need to go. Claire looked at the open duffel. "Are you taking the uniform?" I considered it. The garment bag seemed suddenly larger than clothing. It contained ceremonies, photographs, mornings I had left before sunrise, evenings I had returned after everybody stopped waiting. Taking it to a hotel felt like evacuating a flag from a burning building. Leaving it felt like pretending the house was secure. "No," I said, "it stays here." "You're sure?" "I told Owen not to remove it." "And you trust him?" "He's angry. He isn't irrational." Claire's expression did something I couldn't read. "What?" I asked. "Nothing. Say it." She looked at the uniform. "Dad doesn't think the display is using you. He thinks it proves the restaurant is yours too. That doesn't make it his decision." "I know." "Do you?" She stood. "I'm trying." "So am I." I zipped my duffel and picked it up. Claire took the smaller bag of toiletries before I could object. At the bottom of the stairs, she paused beside the gift table. The brass compass caught the dull light from the window. "You should open the cards," she said. "Later." "People wrote nice things." "I know. No, you assume." "That's different." I took the compass and slipped it into my purse. "The cards can stay." Her gaze went to the kitchen. "Dad didn't sleep," she said. "Neither did I. He thinks you're leaving him. I left the house. To him, that's the same thing. Then he should ask instead of decide. He did ask. You wouldn't tell him where you were. That isn't the question." Claire set my toiletry bag beside the front door. Do you want to leave him? I looked around the living room. Owen had chosen the sofa because I did not care. I had chosen the lamps because he liked rooms bright enough to read in. His cookbooks filled the lower shelves. My military history books filled the upper ones. On the mantel stood a photograph of us in Germany, laughing under umbrellas after taking the wrong train. We had not always been keeping score. I don't know, I said. Claire nodded once, accepting the answer more easily than I did. Outside, Lila got out to help with the bags. Her sunglasses were pushed onto her head. Everything peaceful? She asked. No, Claire and I said together. Lila took the duffel. Good. Peace is suspicious. Claire gave her a thin smile. I need my car, I said. It's still at Willow Pine. I'll follow you back to the hotel after, Lila said. Claire frowned. You're staying there another night? Yes. You could stay with me. The offer surprised both of us. I don't think that's a good idea. Why? Because you need room to figure out what you think without waking up to me making coffee in your kitchen. I have a coffee maker. Is it simple? It has 4 programmable modes. Then we're incompatible. Her smile disappeared almost as soon as it came. I touched her arm. Thank you. She looked down at my hand, then covered it with hers for one brief second. At the restaurant parking lot, my car sat beneath the gold balloons someone had tied to the driver's side mirror. Rain had softened them, and the number 7 leaned against the window like it was tired. Lila cut the ribbons with a pocket knife. You carry that everywhere? I asked. Unlike a fitted sheet, a knife has obvious uses. She waited until my engine started, then followed me to the hotel. I carried my bags upstairs. When I unzipped the duffel, I found a white pastry box tucked between 2 sweaters. Inside were 4 orange cardamom morning buns. On the lid, Claire had written in black marker, 6 things. Pies don't count. Don't argue. I ate one standing over the hotel desk. It was soft in the center, crisp at the edges, and better than anything I had been served at my retirement dinner. I took a picture of the remaining 3 and sent it to her. Proud of you, I wrote. Not precise, not promising, just true. The typing dots appeared, vanished, and appeared again. Finally, Claire sent back a heart. Before I could decide whether to answer, Owen's name filled my screen. I let it ring 5 times. Then I picked up. Are you back at the hotel? Owen asked. Yes. Which one? I'm not telling you. I'm not going to storm the lobby. Then you don't need the name. He exhaled through his nose. I could picture him standing in our kitchen, one hand planted on the counter, staring at the cake while he tried to keep his voice reasonable. Claire said you came by. I told you I was going to. She said the 2 of you talked. We did. About the restaurant? And other things. What other things? You should ask her. I'm asking my wife. About a conversation you weren't part of. He went quiet, possibly recognizing the shape of his own mistake. Did you take the home front pages? He asked. They were on the printer. That's not what I asked. No, I left them on the banister. What did you think? I think Fort Bragg brisket sounds like something served under fluorescent lights. It's a working menu. And I was never a sergeant major. That's just a name for the platter. It has my photograph beside it. That can change. The entire concept can change. Here we go. I sat in the desk chair. The remaining morning buns waited inside their box, filling the hotel room with butter and orange. What does that mean? I asked. It means you found a typo and now you get to dismiss 6 months of work. My rank is not a typo. I know your rank. You know the rank I retired with. You don't seem to know what it required. Dana, I lived what it required. No, you lived what it required from you. He stopped. Neither of us said anything for several seconds. That's fair, he said. The answer unsettled me. I had prepared for impact and found open air. Owen continued, I'm sorry the speech hurt you. You're sorry it hurt me. Yes. Not that you said it. I meant what I said. I know. I also meant what I didn't get to say. I leaned back in the chair. What was that? That none of those people would have been in that room without you, that you were the reason we met them, that you gave our family a life bigger than the one I thought I'd have. That wasn't in the speech you gave. It was in the part after the presentation, after the apron. The apron was supposed to get a laugh. It did. Not from you. I wasn't there. His breathing changed again. Owen had always been able to tolerate anger better than literal answers. I was going to thank you, he said. I wanted to do it while showing you what came next. You were going to thank me by telling me what came next. I was showing you that I finally had a plan. You have always had plans. No, I had possibilities. Every time something started working, orders came through or you got selected for something. You had a path. I had whatever fit beside it. There was no good defense against the truth. Defense was not the same as context, though, and Owen had become skilled at removing mine. I thought catering mattered to you, I said. It did. You built a real business and closed it twice. You reopened it twice. Because I had to. Because you wanted to. Do you hear how generous you sound? Like I should be grateful I was allowed to keep trying. I rubbed the side of my thumb over a nick in the desk. I supported your work. You respected it when it was convenient. That isn't true. You missed my tasting for the hotel contract in Richmond. My unit had an inspection. You always had a reason. I did have a reason. Reasons still cost people something. I looked at the box from Claire. When I came home, I said, I stayed up until 2 helping you price that contract. You built a spreadsheet. You needed one. I needed you at the tasting. You said the numbers were the problem because numbers were something you could fix. The sentence stayed in the room with me. Owen's voice softened. I didn't build Homefront to punish you. Then why does it feel like an invoice? Because you think being needed is the same as being used. Sometimes it is, not by me. I almost answered too quickly. Instead, I looked out the hotel window at the pharmacy parking lot. A woman was trying to fold an umbrella before getting into her car. The wind kept opening it again. What exactly did you expect me to do? I asked. I told you. Operations. That word covers a lot of ground. Get us through opening. Set up the systems. Help Claire with suppliers. Help me hire the right people. How long? I don't know. Estimate, 6 months. I laughed. What? You planned my first 6 months of retirement and called it a surprise. It wouldn't be full time. How many hours? For God's sake. How many? At first, maybe 30 a week. That is a job. It's our business. It isn't mine. You keep saying that like you're proud of it. I'm saying it because it's true. You could make it yours. I don't want to. You haven't seen the place. I didn't want to open a restaurant before I saw the place. Neither did I until I saw it. That is how your desire works, Owen. It doesn't make mine defective. He was silent long enough that I checked the call again. The walk-in cooler isn't holding temperature, he said. The change of subject was so abrupt I almost missed what he was doing. What? The repair company says the compressor is failing. The seller says it passed inspection. Why are you telling me? Because you know how to deal with vendors. I know how to ask for service records. We have those. Then read them. I read them. And? He says the failure happened after the sale. Did the inspector test it under load? I don't know. Find out, you see? That took you 2 seconds. That doesn't make it my problem. I didn't say it did. You didn't have to. He let out a tired breath. I'm drowning here. The old reflex moved before thought. I saw the steps immediately. Find the inspection scope, confirm temperatures documented at handoff, check warranty language, contact the manufacturer with the serial number, compare repair cost to replacement before authorizing anything. My mouth almost opened. Then I remembered the apron. Call the inspector, I said. I just told you, no. I told you who to call. The rest is yours. I don't need a hint, Dana. I need help. You have a partner. Claire is dealing with the oven. Then the two of you need to prioritize. You sound like you're enjoying this." The accusation stung because some small part of me did enjoy being the person who could see the answer while he could not. Competence has its own vanity. Mine had been fed for years by people handing me tangled problems and waiting. "I'm not enjoying it," I said, "but I'm not rescuing you from a decision you hid from me. This affects Claire. I know, she put everything she has into this. I know. And you're willing to watch her lose it to prove a point?" The room seemed to narrow. "Don't use her to conscript me. That's not what I'm doing. It is exactly what you're doing. I'm telling you the stakes. No, you're telling me that if I don't give you what you expected, whatever happens to Claire is my fault. I didn't say that. You keep relying on that defense." He swore under his breath. "I want you to come see the restaurant," he said. "No apron, no presentation, just walk through it." "No. When did you become this afraid to look at something?" I felt the hook and hated that he knew where to place it. "This isn't fear, then prove it." "I don't have to prove anything to you today." "Tomorrow." "No." "Name a day. I'm not touring Homefront while you think the building is an argument you can win, so you'll never come." "I didn't say that. I'm trying to save our marriage here." "You're trying to save your opening. I can care about both." "Yes, you can. And you can care about neither? That's enough." He went quiet. I waited for an apology. He waited for me to understand why one was unnecessary. "I'll call you in a few days," I said. "A few days? Yes. Are you coming home then?" "I don't know. So I'm supposed to sit here while you decide whether our marriage qualifies for your next assignment. I'm asking for space." "You took space. I'm asking what happens after." "I don't know." "Fine." He ended the call. I stayed in the chair with the phone pressed to my ear until the silence became embarrassing. Then I ate another morning bun. Not because I was hungry, because Claire had made it, and I could not separate my love for her from the fear that Owen was right about what my refusal might cost. The hotel allowed only short extensions at the rate I was paying. I opened my laptop in the afternoon and searched furnished rentals. Most looked designed for people who enjoyed gray furniture and framed prints of bridges. One was above a florist downtown, one had a bed that folded into a cabinet, and one described a microwave as a chef's kitchen. I scheduled 2 viewings. The first apartment smelled like cigarette smoke beneath vanilla spray. The second was on the ground floor of a converted brick house owned by a retired respiratory therapist named Gloria Bell. It had a narrow bedroom, a blue sofa, and a kitchen table scarred by years of hot dishes. "Month to month," Gloria said. "Utilities included, no smoking, no large dogs. I don't have a dog. Everybody says that like I accuse them. I don't smoke either. That people lie about." She showed me the back entrance and the laundry room. The lock was solid. The windows opened. The coffee maker had one switch. "I'll take it," I said. Gloria studied my clothes, my posture, and probably the absence of anything resembling a plan. "You running away from somebody?" she asked. "No." "Running toward something?" "No." She nodded. "Those are usually the easier tenants." I paid for 1 month and returned to the hotel with a key on a faded plastic tag. On my bed, the phone showed 3 missed calls from Claire. The 4th came while I was looking at them. "Mom," she said when I answered, breathless, "I need you to tell me if Dad is making a mistake." "With what?" "The cooler company. They're offering to replace the compressor at cost if we sign something today." I closed my eyes. "Where's Owen?" "Arguing with the inspector." "And what do you want from me?" "I don't want you to fix it." Her voice shook, but she kept going. "I want you to show me how you know what questions to ask." "Do you have the proposal in front of you?" I asked. "Yes." "Don't read it to me yet. Tell me what they want you to decide." Claire exhaled. I heard papers moving. "They'll install a replacement compressor for parts cost. We waive any claim against the seller and the inspection company. Dad thinks it's the best offer we'll get." "What do you think?" "I think I don't know enough to think anything. That's an honest starting point." "So, what do I ask? First, who wrote the proposal?" The refrigeration company. The same company that inspected the cooler? No, the seller recommended them. Who does the waiver protect? The seller and the inspection company, but neither wrote it. Right. Why is the repair company negotiating for them? A pause. I don't know. Ask. All right. What was the recorded temperature during inspection? I don't see one. Ask for it. Ask whether the unit was empty or under load, how long it ran, and whether they tested the compressor amperage. Slow down. I stopped. You're writing? Yes. Good. Read the full proposal before you call anyone. Circle every sentence that limits their responsibility. Underline anything that creates a cost for you. Put a question mark beside anything you can explain in plain English. This sounds like homework. It is. I thought you'd know whether we should sign. I haven't seen the cooler. Dad said you'd say that. Your father spent 27 years hearing me say I couldn't assess equipment from a description. I know. He sounded annoyed about it then, too. A male voice spoke in the background. Owen. Claire covered the phone, but not fully. I heard her say, I'm asking her how to evaluate it. His answer was muffled. She isn't doing it for us, Claire said. She's showing me. Another muffled reply. Then Owen's voice came closer. Put her on speaker. No, Claire said. Something in my chest loosened and tightened at the same time. Ask the refrigeration company whether the compressor is still under manufacturer warranty, I said. The serial number will tell them the installation date. Claire repeated it while writing. And ask what at cost means. Parts only, labor, refrigerant, disposal, emergency surcharge. Can there be an emergency surcharge if they haven't done anything yet? There can be a surcharge for breathing near commercial equipment. That sounds illegal. It's mostly creative. She gave a nervous laugh. Owen spoke again. This time I heard him clearly. We don't have time for a procurement seminar, Claire said. Then you talk to the inspector while I do this. I already talked to him. Did you ask for the temperature record? Silence. I smiled despite myself. Mom, Claire said, they want an answer by 4. What happens at 4? The offer expires. Why? It doesn't say. Ask. What if they withdraw it? Then you still have a failed compressor. Signing a bad agreement doesn't make the equipment cold. That sounds like something you've said before. It is something I have said in several countries. Owen's voice came from farther away. This is exactly what she does. She turns one decision into 40 questions until nobody can move. I waited to see what Claire would do. Dad, she said, go call the manufacturer. Claire, please. A door shut. I looked at the hotel wall and released a breath. Was I rude? She asked. No. Don't answer as my mother. As what? As somebody who has managed people. You were direct. You gave him a task. You said please. I sounded rude. You sounded uncomfortable. Aren't those the same? No, people confuse them when they're used to you agreeing. She was quiet. Is that what I do? She asked. With Owen? With everybody. I don't know everybody. You know me. I chose my answer carefully. You used to tell me no all the time. When I lived at home, and then I saw you less. That's not an answer. It might be part of one. She let that sit. All right, she said. I'm going to make the calls. You're going to read the whole proposal first. I'm going to read the whole proposal first. And Claire? What? You decide. Not me. What if I decide wrong? You'll learn something expensive. Comforting. It's a restaurant. Everything you learn will be expensive. She laughed again, more naturally this time. I'll call you later, she said. I moved into Gloria's apartment with one duffel, a pharmacy bag, my purse, and the 3 framed photographs I had taken from my office. Lila brought my laptop from the car and a set of sheets she claimed had never been used. They're floral, she warned. I've seen flowers. These are aggressive flowers. The sheets were covered in red poppies the size of dinner plates. They look like a field hospital designed by a theater major, I said. That's why I thought of you. Gloria watched us carry things through the side entrance and handed me a spare key. Friend? she asked, nodding toward Lila. Former subordinate, I said. Current friend, Lila corrected. Gloria pointed at me. That's the sort of distinction people regret learning late. She went back upstairs before I could ask whether she was speaking from experience or enjoying the sound of the sentence. The apartment was furnished, but it did not feel occupied. The bowls were stacked in perfect descending order. The towels smelled like a linen closet. A ceramic rooster stood on the kitchen windowsill with an expression of personal betrayal. Lila placed my laptop on the table. You need groceries. I can buy groceries. You need something to do tonight. I can find something. That's what worries me. I opened a cabinet. 4 coffee mugs, none chipped. What do you do at night? I asked. Drink wine and make poor media choices. Productive. I'm not the one who retired without a hobby. I run. That's fleeing with expensive shoes. I turned to her. Do you have somewhere to be? Several places. None want me. She leaned against the counter. The humor left her face gently. You sure about living alone? No. Good. You keep approving of uncertainty. It's new on you. I looked around the small apartment. I need to know whether I'm leaving because I want out or because staying felt like surrender. Could be both. That's unhelpful. Truth often needs better packaging. She hugged me before she left. Lila did not hug carefully. She hit with her whole body and held on just long enough to make jokes impossible. Afterward, I went to the grocery store. Shopping for one person was harder than supplying 400. I stood in front of the eggs doing math that had nothing to do with cost. A dozen assumed I would still be there long enough to eat a dozen. 6 felt like admitting something. I bought 12. At the apartment, I made scrambled eggs for dinner and ate them at the scarred kitchen table. No television, no Owen-tasting sauce at the stove, no cabinet doors left open. At 4:23, Claire called. We didn't sign. What did you learn? The 4 o'clock deadline was because the service manager wanted to close the ticket before he left. Urgency is often somebody else's calendar. The compressor is under parts warranty for another 3 months. Good. Maybe. Labor and refrigerant are still ours. But the manufacturer gave me 2 authorized companies. One is coming tomorrow. You made the call? Yes. How did Owen take it? He said we lost a day. And what did you say? I said we gained a second quote. I smiled. That's precise. Careful. I'm proud of you. She went quiet. Thank you, she said. I could have ended there. Instead, I asked, what else is wrong? How do you know something else is wrong? You called instead of texting. She sighed. Dad wants to move the opening up. Why? He thinks we need revenue coming in before we spend more. When is the current opening? 5 weeks. And what does moving it up mean? 3. Can the bakery be ready? No. The answer was immediate. Does he know that? He says I can open with a limited menu. You already have a limited menu. He means coffee, biscuits, and pies. What about your morning buns? Later. The word carried more anger than volume. What do you want to do? I asked. Open in 5 weeks. Then tell him. He'll say the dining room can be ready in 3. That answers a different question. We're partners. Yes, I can't just order him around. No. You can tell him what you will and won't agree to. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. It may not be easy. Mom, please don't give me a poster. That wouldn't fit on a poster. It would if the font was small. I smiled. She continued, if I hold the opening, we lose money. If you rush it, you may lose customers. That's what I said. What did Owen say? That restaurants are never ready and sometimes you have to jump. He isn't wrong. You agree with him? I agree that perfect can become avoidance. Is the bakery imperfect or unworkable? Unworkable. Then that's your answer. I wish you'd come see it. No. I'm not asking you to work. I know. Do you? The question made me pause. Yes. What if I asked you to meet me somewhere else? I could bring the bakery layout, not the whole restaurant, just my section. That starts sounding like work. I know. I'll meet you for coffee. You can tell me what you're worried about. I won't redesign anything. Will you look at the layout? No. Mom, if I look, I'll start solving. You make that sound like an allergy. For now, it is. She muttered something I did not catch, but we agreed on a coffee shop the next morning. Claire arrived with a cardboard tube under one arm. That looks like a layout, I said. It's a poster about boundaries. Does it have small font? Extremely. She ordered tea and a blueberry muffin, then spent 10 minutes not touching either. The tube leaned against her chair. I told Dad I'm not opening in 3 weeks, she said. How did that go? He said I was panicking because you got in my head. What did you say? That my head was already occupied. Good answer. He didn't think so. She tore the muffin in half. He says you're turning me against him. I'm not. I know. Do you? Yes. She looked straight at me. But I also know you're relieved I said no. I am. Because it proves he's wrong. Partly, and partly, because you knew what you needed and said it. Claire pushed half the muffin toward me. Dad says if the dining room opens first, I can add the bakery later. Can you? Technically. That's not what I asked. She looked down at her tea. If I wait, Homefront becomes his restaurant with my pastries, she said. The bakery was supposed to be mine. There it was. The same sentence in a different uniform. I did not point that out. I took the offered half of the muffin and said, then you need to tell your partner what you just told me. I did. And? He moved the soft opening to 3 weeks anyway. My hand stopped above the plate. Without your agreement, he says the permits are set and invitations can go out Monday. Can he do that under your partnership agreement? Claire's mouth twisted. I knew you'd ask that. And? She reached for the cardboard tube, but did not open it. I don't know, she said. I signed where Dad showed me. Then your next step is not to ask me what it says, I said. Claire frowned. Why not? Because I'm your mother. I'm angry with your partner, and I know enough contract language to be dangerous without being useful. You told me to have someone independent review it. I still think you should. You're not going to look? No. She leaned back in her chair. This boundary thing is becoming annoying. I'm new at it. I may be overcorrecting. At least you admit it. What I can tell you is that you should never sign anything you don't understand. I understood the general idea. General ideas are what people describe right before the details cost them money. That sounded like you again. I'm not trying to stop being myself. Could have fooled Dad. She said it without malice, which made it harder to dismiss. I'm trying to stop volunteering myself for work I never agreed to, I said. Is talking to me work? No. Is looking at the bakery work? It could become work. Only if I do what Dad does and refuse to hear no. The cardboard tube rested against her leg. She had brought it knowing I would resist and also knowing she would not force it open. That distinction mattered. I want you to see what I made, she said. Not because I need you to fix it. I want my mother to stand in the space and understand why I risked $30,000. I looked at her. You used the number against me, she said. I'm allowed to use it once. That seems fair. Come after the refrigeration technician leaves. Dad is meeting Patrick for lunch. Your Uncle Patrick? He's helping with the dining room tables. Does Patrick know how to build tables? He knows how to own a truck. Your father has always confused those skills. Will you come? I drank what remained of my coffee. I will look at your bakery. Only the bakery? Yes. You understand we have to walk through the restaurant to reach it. I assumed you didn't build a separate entrance for people with maternal boundaries, maybe in phase 2. Homefront occupied a low brick building beside a tire shop and a medical supply store. The old Barlow's sign had been removed, leaving pale rectangles on the brick where the letters had protected it from weather. A temporary banner stretched over the entrance. The logo looked larger in person. Roofline, dog tags, block letters. Underneath, in smaller type, it read, "A Holt Family Restaurant." Claire unlocked the front door. "Dad's changing that," she said when she saw me reading. The name? The logo. Maybe not the whole thing. Why? You asked him not to use your service. I asked him not to use me. She pushed the door open. He says the word home front doesn't belong to anybody. It doesn't. The dining room smelled like fresh paint, sawdust, and the sweet chemical scent of new vinyl. Half the tables were still wrapped in plastic. Light fixtures made from black metal cages hung over the booths. Along the far wall, a painter was finishing a dark green stripe beneath a line of framed photographs. Claire stepped in front of my view. The bakery is this way. I could already see enough. One photograph showed Owen and me at a unit ball in Germany. Another showed Claire between us at my promotion ceremony in Texas. There were convoy pictures, a photograph of me standing beside a pallet of bottled water, and one from Kuwait where I had been sunburned and too tired to remember anybody holding a camera. Small brass plaques beneath the frames gave dates and locations. Dana's journey had not remained a printer mock-up. "Those need to come down," I said. I told him. "When?" "After you sent the text." "And?" He said the pictures were family property. Some of them were taken by Army Public Affairs. I know. Then why are they still up? Because he thinks you'll feel differently when you see the whole space. I turned toward her. "Did you bring me here for him?" "No." "Does he know I'm coming?" "No." The answer came fast enough to believe. "I wanted to show you my work," she said. "I did not know he'd put all these up already. Yesterday they were stacked in the office." The painter glanced at us, then became deeply interested in the edge of his green stripe. I lowered my voice. "Show me the bakery." The front bar had been shortened, exactly as Claire described. A curved glass pastry case sat at one end beneath pendant lights with amber shades. Behind it, open shelves waited for bread and packaged coffee. The tile was cream with small green diamonds, warm without being cute. Through an opening in the wall, I saw a stainless work table and racks on wheels. "This was your design?" I asked. "Most of it." Dad picked the shelves. "It looks good." She watched my face. "Good?" It feels separate from the dining room without looking disconnected. Customers can come in for coffee without blocking the host stand. The case catches your eye from the door. "I thought you weren't assessing." "I have eyes." "That's dangerously close to logistics." "It's a compliment." Her mouth softened. She took me behind the counter. The oven had been moved 6 feet from the position on her original drawing because the electrical connection was cheaper there. It narrowed the aisle but did not destroy the space. She showed me bins labeled for flour, sugar, and chocolate. A shelf held jars of the local jam she had mentioned. On the work table, a tray of orange cardamom buns cooled beneath a cloth. "You made these here." "First test batch." "And?" "The oven heats unevenly." "Can you work with it?" "I can rotate the pans. I shouldn't have to, but I can." "That sounds imperfect, not unworkable." "I know." She smiled, proud and nervous. For a few minutes, I let myself see what she saw. Morning light across the pastry case, coffee brewing, people stopping on their way to work, Claire moving behind the counter in her black jacket, no longer waiting for someone at Sorella's to retire before she could advance. "I understand," I said. Her eyes shone. "You do?" "Yes." A metallic knock came from the dining room. The painter had climbed down from his ladder and was moving a drop cloth near the bar. Behind him, mounted against the wall, was a large black shadow box. My uniform hung inside it. For one absurd second, I thought it was another uniform. Dress jackets all looked alike at a distance. Then I saw the crease near the left shoulder, where the hanger in my closet had pressed it wrong. My nameplate sat above the right pocket. My ribbons and medals had been pinned beneath glass. I walked toward it. Claire followed. "That wasn't there yesterday." The painter stepped away. "Ma'am," he said, "I just do the walls." "I know." A small plaque beneath the case read, "The bottom of the shadow box was level. The uniform inside was not. One medal hung lower than the others." Owen had arranged them from a photograph and gotten the spacing wrong. I set my purse on the bar. "Do you have a screwdriver?" I asked the painter. He looked at Claire. She asked you, Claire said. He retrieved a cordless driver from beside his paint tray and handed it to me. The case had been secured through brackets at the sides. I removed the first screw. Mom, Claire said quietly, let me help. No. The second screw was tighter. I braced one hand against the frame and backed it out slowly. A door opened behind the kitchen. What's going on out here? Owen called. Of course he was there. He came through the swinging door wearing jeans and an old catering shirt. A pencil rested behind his ear. When he saw me, surprise lit his face before he remembered to be angry. You came. I came to see Claire's bakery. He looked at the driver in my hand. What are you doing? Taking my uniform. Dana, wait. I removed the third screw. Owen crossed the room. That glass is heavy. I know. At least let me get somebody. I have somebody. I nodded toward Claire. She moved to the other side of the case without hesitation. Owen stopped a few feet away. You're making a scene in front of a contractor. The painter raised both hands. I can go outside. You don't have to, I said. I would like to. He left through the front door with impressive speed. I removed the final screw. Claire and I lifted the shadow box away from the wall and placed it face up across 2 tables. I told you not to remove this from the house, I said. Owen pulled the pencil from behind his ear. It was already planned. That is not an answer. The case was custom made. The installer was scheduled. Canceling appointments is allowed in civilian life. I thought once you saw it, you keep saying that. Once I saw the restaurant. Once I saw the wall. Once I saw my own uniform behind glass. Why is seeing always supposed to replace choosing? This is an honor display. Honor without consent is possession. His face hardened. That's dramatic. You mounted my clothes in a business I refused to join. Our business. Say it again and see if it becomes true. Claire touched the edge of the shadow box. Dad, she told you no. I heard her. Then why did you take it? Because she was angry. People say things when they're angry. I sent it in writing, I said. That doesn't make it less impulsive. You leased a restaurant without telling your wife, but I'm impulsive. I spent 6 months planning this. You spent 10 minutes walking out. I spent 27 years walking to this point. The words came before I could measure them. Owen stared at me. Claire looked down. I unlatched the back of the shadow box. Owen reached toward it, then stopped himself. You don't get to dismantle everything because you're hurt, he said. I'm dismantling one display. You know what I mean. No, I know what you want me to mean. I lifted the jacket free. The fabric smelled faintly of our closet and strongly of fresh cut wood. Claire found a clean plastic drop cloth and spread it over a table so I could lay out the skirt and shirt. Owen stood beside the empty case. I gave up things too, he said. I know. Do you? Yes. That is the problem. I know every item on your list because you have read it to me for years. That is not fair. And you don't know mine because I never made you listen. He looked wounded, which did not make him wrong. What did you give up? He asked. It was not a challenge. That was worse. He truly wanted an accounting because he had never imagined I kept one. I'm not doing this here, I said. You came into my restaurant and started pulling things off the wall. Your restaurant. Thank you. He realized what he had said. Claire closed her eyes. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. Owen dropped the pencil onto the bar. Are you leaving me? The room seemed built around the question. New tables, unfinished walls, family photographs, an empty shadow box meant to prove I belonged. I already left the house, I said. That isn't what I asked. I haven't decided whether it's permanent. How long do you need? I don't know. You always know. Not anymore. His face twisted. That's convenient. No, it's terrifying. The honesty silenced him. I wrapped my jacket in the drop cloth and gathered the rest of the uniform against my chest. Claire picked up my metal case. I'll walk you out, she said. No, Owen said. You and I need to discuss the opening. Claire turned toward him. Yes, she said. We do. She handed me the medals but stayed where she was. It was a small choice, and I respected it more than if she had followed me. I carried my uniform through the front door beneath the home front banner. The painter stood beside his truck pretending to check his phone. When I reached my car, he called after me. "For what it's worth, ma'am, the uniform looked important." I opened the back door. "It is," I said. "That's why I took it down." I laid the uniform across the back seat and fastened the seatbelt over it. The gesture looked ridiculous. I did it anyway. By the time I reached the apartment, rain had started again. Gloria was bringing a bag of potting soil in through the side door. She watched me carry the plastic-wrapped uniform under one arm and the metal case under the other. "That yours?" she asked. "Yes. You in trouble?" "No." "Good. Uniforms make me nervous. I'm retired. That only tells me you have experience." She held the door with her hip while I went inside. The ceramic rooster looked disappointed to see me. I spread the jacket on the kitchen table and removed the ribbons, nameplate, insignia, and medals one at a time. Owen had used photographs to position them, but photographs flattened things. He had pinned one unit award backward and placed my marksmanship badge too close to the seam. None of the mistakes was outrageous. Together, they told me he had cared enough to make the display and not enough to ask. I put each piece into its case. My phone rang before I finished. Beth. I considered letting it go, then answered. "Did you go to the restaurant?" she demanded. "Yes." "Owen called me. I'm sure he did. He says you ripped a display off the wall in front of the painters. I unscrewed it. That is not the important distinction you think it is. It was my uniform. I know whose uniform it was. Then we're making progress." Beth made a frustrated sound. "Can you stop treating every conversation like you're the only adult in it? Can everybody stop taking my things? I didn't take anything. You knew about the restaurant, so did half the family, not helping. Owen asked us to keep it quiet, and that didn't seem strange. It was a surprise. That word has been relieved of duty. Dana, I know the apron was stupid. You laughed. I laugh when I'm uncomfortable. You must be having a wonderful week." She ignored that. "He has wanted his own restaurant since before you two got married," she said. "Not catering out of church kitchens, not hotel contracts. A real place with his name on it. Then he should put his name on it. He put your family name on it. He put my life on the walls. Because he is proud of you. He had an odd way of showing it at dinner. He talks about you constantly. What does he say?" Beth stopped. The rain struck the kitchen window in quick, small taps. "What does he say, Beth? He says you're the strongest person he knows. Meaning you can handle things. What else? That you always land on your feet. What else?" Her voice lowered. "That the Army always comes first. I retired 3 days ago. And he had already assigned what came next. He didn't see it that way. I know. Do you?" "Yes." "That's what scares me. Owen believes loving me gives him the right to decide for me because he decided around me for years. You did decide around him." The sentence was sharp, but not entirely wrong. "I accepted orders," I said. "And he followed. We discussed every move. After the Army decided where you were going. Yes, he had veto power in theory. So did gravity." I sat down. "Why are you calling, Beth?" "Because my brother is falling apart. He should talk to someone. He wants to talk to you. He wants me to come home and run his restaurant. He wants his wife back. He keeps combining those requests. Maybe because he built the restaurant for the two of you. No. He built it for himself and made my participation part of the financing plan. He used his own money. I'm not talking about cash." Beth went quiet. "He assumed I would supply the work that made it possible," I said. "He announced it publicly because saying no in front of everybody would make me look selfish. When I still said no, all of you called to tell me who I was hurting. I didn't know he hadn't asked you. You knew it was a surprise. I thought the surprise was the lease. I assumed you'd discuss the concept. You assumed because asking would have endangered the fun. That's not fair. Neither was the apron." She sighed. I told him the apron was too much. but you still watched him hold it up. What was I supposed to do? Tackle him? You could have said, "Owen, does Dana want a job?" He would have said yes. And then? Beth did not answer. The silence changed something between us. Not repair, exactly, but the first crack in her certainty. "I have to go," she said. "All right." For what it's worth, he took the pictures down. "Good. He's not a monster. I didn't say he was. You make him sound like one." "No. Monsters are easier. Owen is a man I love who has decided his sacrifice entitles him to my future." Beth inhaled. "I don't know what to say to that. Neither do I." After we hung up, I finished putting away the uniform. There was no proper place for it in the apartment, so I hung it in the narrow bedroom closet between my blue dress and Gloria's spare ironing board. My entire career fit behind one folding door. I went running. The rain had faded to mist. I followed the sidewalks without planning a route, which lasted 6 minutes before I began noting turns and landmarks. Pharmacy, post office, brick church, footbridge. My legs felt heavy. I had eaten badly and slept worse, but the rhythm steadied me. At 6:30 on most weekdays, I had known exactly where I belonged. People had been waiting for decisions before I reached my desk. Now no one knew where I was, and most of the people who did know wanted something I had refused to give. Freedom felt suspiciously like being absent without leave. I ran until the thought lost its power. Claire texted while I was in the shower. "I'm not opening the bakery in 3 weeks." A second message followed. "Dad says he'll open dining room without me if he has to." Then, "Can he?" I wrapped a towel around myself and called her. "That is not a question for me," I said when she answered. "I know. I made an appointment with someone who reviews small business agreements." "Good. She can't see me until Monday." "Then wait until Monday." "Invitations go out Monday. Your father can send invitations. That doesn't make an oven ready. He says I'm sabotaging him. What do you say?" "I say he changed the date without me. Then keep saying the true thing. You make it sound easy." "I know it isn't." She was in her apartment. I heard a cupboard close, then the hollow clink of a mug on a counter. "I asked him why he took your uniform," she said. "What did he say? That you were going to come around? Did he explain what that meant? He said you always resist change at first, then take charge once you accept it." I sat on the closed toilet lid. "Do I?" "You do take charge." That wasn't the question. Claire breathed into the phone. "When we moved to Germany, you hated the housing," she said. "You complained about the kitchen for 2 weeks, then organized a whole block cookout. The stove had one working burner. I know, you still made it work. That does not mean I wanted the stove. I think Dad sees every time you adapted as proof you eventually wanted what happened. The insight was so simple I felt foolish for not reaching it myself." "Maybe I let him," I said. "What?" "I made adaptation look easy." "It wasn't?" "No." She was quiet. "Why didn't you tell us?" she asked. "I thought that was the job. The Army's job? Mine. As a soldier? As whatever people needed." Claire let out a slow breath. "Dad wants you to come to the house tonight. He told you to ask?" "No. He told me he was going to ask. I'm warning you." My phone vibrated against my ear with an incoming call. "Owen." "He's calling," I said. "Are you going to answer?" "Yes. Do you want me to stay on?" "No." "All right. Claire?" "What?" "Thank you for asking." She hung up and I switched calls. Owen did not ask where I was. "Can we talk?" he said. "We are talking. In person. About the marriage or the restaurant. I don't know how to separate them right now. Then we're not ready." "I took down the photographs," Beth told me. "I didn't ask Beth to call you. I believe you. I'm sorry I took the uniform." The apology was direct enough that I had no prepared answer. "Thank you," I said. "I thought you'd see what I meant. I understand now that you didn't." "No." "You understand that I removed it." "That's not fair. Do you understand why I said no before you took it?" Another pause. Because you felt erased at the dinner. Felt. Because I erased you at the dinner. I closed my eyes. I was so focused on thanking everybody for what your career cost them, he said. I forgot to honor what it cost you. That's part of it. What's the rest? You assumed retirement meant the debt came due. That isn't how I think. It is how you planned. I wanted my turn. I know. Am I not allowed to want that? You're allowed to want anything. You're not allowed to assign me to it. So what does that leave us? The question trembled at the edges. It leaves us with a marriage if we can talk about it without home front sitting in the middle. The restaurant isn't going away. I didn't ask it to. But you won't support me. I have supported you for years. You won't support this. Not by working there. What if I'm not asking you to work? Are you? He hesitated. The answer hurt more because he had tried to tell the truth. I need help, he said. I know. I can't do this alone. You aren't alone. You have Claire. She's pulling away because of you. No. She's setting a date for her bakery. She had no problem with the timeline until you left. She thought I had agreed to run operations until I left. You're saying this is my fault. I'm saying your plan depended on two women doing what you had already decided. That sounds like something Claire said. She got there on her own. He breathed hard into the phone. Meet me at the house, he said. No restaurant talk, I promise. When? Tonight. 7. I looked at the closed closet door. All right. The house was dark when I arrived, except for the kitchen. Owen sat at the table with 2 bowls in front of him, tomato soup and grilled cheese, the meal we used to make after long moves when every other pan was boxed. I said no restaurant talk, he told me. I didn't say no dinner. I sat across from him. The soup had formed a skin on top. Neither of us lifted a spoon. Owen looked older than he had 3 days earlier. His beard was coming in gray along his jaw. There was paint on one sleeve. I don't know how to be married to you if you don't need me, he said. I stared at him. For the first time since the dinner, I heard the fear beneath all his plans. I needed you the whole time, I said. He looked down at the untouched soup. Then why, he asked. Did you make it look like you didn't? Because needing people could get expensive, I said. Owen looked up. Not money, I added. Leverage. You thought I would use it against you? I thought anybody could. I'm not anybody. No, you're the person whose face I pictured every time I got on a plane. His mouth tightened. I never told you that, I said. I should have. The soup sat between us, cooling. When we were in Germany, I continued, I used to wait for the hallway light before I came upstairs. What hallway light? At the apartment? You left it on when you were awake. You could see it from the street? Yes. I didn't know that. When it was on, I knew I had somewhere to go. When it was off, I sat in the car a few minutes because I didn't want to wake you. You never woke me. I know. I got good at being quiet. Owen stared at the table. I needed you when my father died, I said. I needed you every time you learned a new address before I did. I needed you to know which cabinet the coffee was in and whether Claire was pretending to be fine. I needed you to make jokes at airports because if you didn't, I might not have gotten on the plane. You always got on. That wasn't proof I didn't need you. It looked like proof. I picked up my spoon and broke the skin on the soup. Steam no longer rose from it. When you asked if I was all right, I said, what happened if I said no? I listened. Sometimes. What did I do the other times? You asked whether the army was worth it. Owen leaned back. I didn't say it like that. You said, how long can we keep doing this? You said, what are they giving you that we don't? You said, you know you're allowed to leave. You were miserable. I was tired. You were gone. I was serving. And I was supposed to know the difference from our kitchen. His voice rose, then dropped when he heard it. I wanted you to leave the army, he said. I know. I wanted it for years. I know that too. Every time I said it, you acted like I was asking you to become smaller. Weren't you? No. I was asking you to choose me. I did choose you. You married me. Then the Army kept choosing for both of us, and you stayed. Yes. You keep describing staying as something that happened to you. His eyes flashed. There it is. What? The judgment. It's a question. No, it isn't. You want me to admit I could have left so my sacrifices become choices and yours stay orders. That was uncomfortably close to true. I set down my spoon. You could have left, I said, and I'm grateful you didn't. Grateful. Yes. That sounds like something engraved on a plaque. What word do you want? I don't know. I wanted it to matter. It mattered every day. Then why did I have to keep reminding you? Because no amount of gratitude made you feel repaid. Owen stood and carried his bowl to the stove, though he had not eaten. I wasn't asking for repayment. You built me a workstation. I built us a future. You built a future where I finally owed you more than the Army. He turned. That's cruel. It's what happened. No. What happened is I spent years waiting for the day we could build something around my dream, and when that day came, you left before I could show you. You still don't hear it. I hear you. Consent. Choice. Boundaries. I hear every word. You say them like items on a complaint form, because none of them include me. I looked at him across the kitchen. They are the only way to include both of us. His face changed just slightly. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. The refrigerator hummed. A car passed outside, tires hissing on wet pavement. The familiar room kept offering evidence that we had once known how to live together. Owen returned to the table. He sat, but he did not pull his chair close. I'm sorry I made the restaurant public before I made it ours, he said. You couldn't make it ours alone. I know. Do you? I'm trying. The same thing Claire had said. I took a bite of grilled cheese. It was cold and buttery and exactly the way Owen always made it, with mustard on the inside edge. I'm sorry I treated your work like the part of our life that could bend, I said. He looked at me. It was real work, I continued. It mattered. You were good at it. I should have said that more, and I should have asked what every move cost instead of waiting for you to tell me. His eyes went wet. He rubbed them with the heel of his hand. Thank you, he said. We ate cold soup. For 10 minutes, we were not opponents. We were two tired people at a table we had bought from a warehouse outlet 20 years earlier, finally saying things that had been stored too long. Then Owen said, The soft opening is the 29th. I closed my eyes. I'm not asking you to work. You promised no restaurant talk. I'm telling you a date. That is restaurant talk. I want you there as my wife. And what does Claire want? She'll come around. I pushed my bowl away. Owen. She's nervous. You know how she gets before a big step. Does she know the date is set? She knows I'm moving forward. That's not what I asked. He stood again. I cannot let this place bleed money while everyone processes feelings. Claire's Bakery is not a feeling. The dining room can open without it. Then why did you call it a family restaurant? Because I believe my family would show up. The warmth from 10 minutes earlier went out of the room. There it is, I said. What? The invoice. He looked away. I put on my coat. You don't have to leave. I do. We were finally talking. You kept your promise until you thought the apology bought you an invitation. That isn't fair. Maybe not. He followed me into the living room. Will you come on the 29th? I don't know. As a guest? I don't know. That means no. It means you trained yourself not to believe any answer except the one you wanted. I opened the door. Owen stayed behind me. I did need you, I said. I may still. But if every conversation ends at Homefront, I can't tell whether you want me or the work you planned for me. He did not answer before I left. Claire came to the apartment 2 days later carrying the cardboard tube and a yellow legal pad covered in her handwriting. She set both on the kitchen table, but did not sit. I understand the agreement now, she said. That's good. It gives Dad and me equal say on major changes. Did your reviewer consider the opening date a major change? She said it's arguable. The word made Claire grimace. I don't want to argue contract definitions with my father, she said. I want him to hear me. Those are different problems. I know. She paced from the table to the ceramic rooster and back. I can refuse to operate my part of the business, she said. He can open the dining room under the restaurant name, but he can't use my bakery menu or sell under my bakery concept without me. What would that cost you? Time. Some startup expenses. Maybe more, depending on whether we separate everything later. And what do you want? I want 5 weeks. Then ask for 5 weeks. I did. He said the date is already announced. Where? Online. He posted it this morning. I watched her grip the legal pad. What are you going to do? I'm not opening the bakery on the 29th. I waited. You think I should pull out completely? She said. I didn't say that. You don't have to. I am not going to decide what you risk. She frowned at me. You really mean that? Yes. What if I stay and it goes badly? I'll love you. What if I leave and lose money? I'll love you. What if Dad never forgives me? That is his decision. She sat at last. He says, I'm choosing you over him. You're choosing your own opening date. That's what I told him. What did he say? That I sounded like you. The insult made us both smile. Claire rolled out the bakery layout across the table. I did not stop her this time. I'm taking my equipment out of Homefront, she said. Not everything, just the things I paid for that can move. I found a shared commercial kitchen I can rent by the day. I can keep supplying 2 coffee shops while I figure out whether Dad and I can still work together. That sounds like a plan. It sounds like retreat. Retreat is movement away from a position you can't hold. That can be smart. You are absolutely assessing now. Yes? Good. She pointed to the curved pastry case on the drawing. That stays. It was bought through the partnership. All right, the small mixer is mine. All right. The oven was already there, unfortunately. Claire. What? You don't have to justify the inventory to me. Her eyes filled, but she blinked the tears away. I'm scared, she said. I know. I wish you'd tell me what to do. I know. I hate this new version of you. I'm not enjoying her every minute either. She laughed and cried at the same time. I moved around the table and held her. She stayed long enough for us to make eggs and toast. When she left, she took the layout but forgot the legal pad. I did not read it. The soft opening invitation reached me by email the next morning. Homefront is ready to welcome you home. The military photographs were gone from the promotional image. So were the dog tags. The logo was now a plain roofline over the name. At the bottom, in smaller letters, it read, Owen Holt, chef and owner. Claire's name did not appear. I stared at the invitation until the screen blurred, then deleted it. On the 29th, rain threatened but never came. I spent the morning at the apartment, reorganized the kitchen cabinets twice, put them back the way Gloria had arranged them, and went for a run. At 4:40, Owen called. The soft opening started at 5. I watched his name until the phone stopped. He called again. Then Claire called. I answered her. Dad's short 3 people, she said. What happened? 1 cook walked out. 2 servers never came. Are you there? I came to return a key. Are you staying? No. Behind her, I heard Owen calling for someone to find clean glassware. He wants to talk to you, Claire said. Do you want to hand him the phone? No. Then don't. She inhaled shakily. He says, if Homefront fails tonight, people won't come back. That may be true. You could help. The words hurt because she did not say them as pressure. She said them because both of us knew I could walk into that building and impose order. Yes, I said, I could. But you won't. No. Owen shouted her name in the background. Claire lowered her voice. How do I leave when he needs me? The same way you stay, I said, knowing the choice has a cost. She was silent. Then I heard a door open. The restaurant noise faded. I'm outside, she said. Are you all right? No. Do you want to come here? Yes. I gave her the address. 40 minutes later, she sat at my small kitchen table eating eggs while Homefront opened without either of us. Claire ate without tasting anything. She cut the eggs into smaller and smaller pieces, pushing them through a streak of ketchup until the plate looked like a supply map drawn by somebody losing the war. "You don't have to finish," I said. "I'm hungry. You're punishing the eggs." They know what they did. Her phone lay face down beside the plate. It had vibrated 7 times since she arrived. "Is that Owen?" I asked. "Dad, Beth, Patrick, and the refrigeration technician. One of those may have useful information. The cooler is the only thing working properly. That is useful." She turned over the phone. Owen's messages began with, "Where are you?" and became more specific. "We need hands. The dining room is full." "Claire, answer me." Then, "Your mother made her choice. I didn't think you would make the same one." Claire locked the screen. "He knows exactly where to put the knife," she said. "He's scared. That doesn't make it less sharp." "No. What if someone gets hurt? At the restaurant? What if the kitchen gets overwhelmed? Then he closes part of the menu or stops seating tables. What if he doesn't? Then the person managing the kitchen makes a bad decision." She flinched. "You make it sound so cold. I'm trying to keep responsibility attached to the person making the choice. He's my father. Yes. He showed up for me. Yes. When you couldn't." I did not defend myself. Claire pressed both palms flat against the table. "I feel like I left him in a burning building. He opened the doors. That doesn't mean I want him to burn." "No." The ceramic rooster watched from the windowsill. "Call him if you want," I said. "Go back if that is your choice. I will not be angry. You'll think I folded. I will think you decided the cost of leaving was too high tonight. Isn't that folding?" "No. Folding is a word people use when they want to make compromise sound shameful." She studied my face. "Would you go back? To the restaurant?" "Yes." "No." "Even if it fails?" "Yes." "Even if Dad loses everything he put into it?" "Yes." The answer hurt both of us. I reached across the table. "That doesn't mean I want him to fail. It sounds like it. I want him to own the choice. If I save Homefront tonight, the lesson becomes that he was right to count on me without asking." Claire's eyes filled. "And if it fails," she said, "he'll say we did it to him. He may." "How do you live with somebody believing the worst thing about you?" "I don't know yet." Her phone vibrated again. This time she answered. "Dad?" Owen's voice came through loudly enough that I heard urgency but not words. "No," Claire said. "I'm not coming back tonight. More words. I told you I wasn't part of the opening." He raised his voice. Claire closed her eyes. "I did not abandon you. I said no, and you opened anyway." She listened. "No, Mom didn't tell me to leave." A longer response. "She's sitting across from me." I looked away, giving her what privacy a 6-foot kitchen could provide. "No," Claire said. "I'm not putting her on." The call ended. Claire's hand shook when she set down the phone. He hung up. "I'm sorry." He said, "I'll understand when someone walks away from me." The room went still. "Your father is angry," I said. "He meant it. He meant to hurt you. That's worse." "Yes." Claire slept on the blue sofa beneath a blanket decorated with sailboats. I lay awake in the bedroom and listened to her turn over every 20 minutes. At 1 in the morning, restaurant notifications began appearing online. The first review praised the brisket and complained that the drinks took 40 minutes. The second said the food was excellent once it arrived. Someone posted a photograph of Patrick carrying 3 plates with an expression usually seen during natural disasters. Beth stood behind the bar pouring wine into water glasses. Homefront had not collapsed. It had survived badly. At 6, Claire came into the kitchen wearing one of my T-shirts and holding her phone. "Dad closed at 10:30, she said. "How was it?" "They served everybody. He cut half the menu at 6 and stopped taking walk-ins. Good decisions. He should have made them before 5. "Yes." "The food got good reviews." "I'm glad." She looked suspicious. "You mean that?" Yes. I thought you'd be disappointed. That he succeeded without me? She nodded. I filled the coffee maker with water. One switch. No hissing. I'm relieved, I said, and a little embarrassed that I'm relieved. Why? Because part of me wanted him to understand what I did by losing control of everything. Claire leaned against the counter. That's honest. It's not attractive. Honest usually needs better packaging. That sounds like Lila. I like her. She'll be impossible when she hears that. Owen texted both of us before the coffee finished. We got through it. Food was good. Service needs work. I'm sorry for what I said. Claire read the message, then put her phone away. Are you answering? I asked. Not yet. Neither did I. Homefront opened 4 days a week after that. Owen cut the menu, removed 6 tables, and hired an experienced line cook who insisted on being paid enough to stay. He stopped using the word deployment in food names. The sergeant major platter became the pit master plate. I learned these details from Claire, who learned them from Beth, who had become an accidental weekend bartender despite claiming she hated customer service. Owen and I spoke twice. Both conversations stayed under 10 minutes. He asked how I was. I said I was fine, then corrected myself. I'm unsettled, I told him the second time. That sounds more honest. I'm practicing. He told me the restaurant was too large for the business they had. What will you do? Sell some equipment. Close the rear dining section. Focus on takeout. That sounds sensible. I thought you weren't going to assess. I'm allowed to agree with you. He laughed softly. I missed that laugh with enough force to make me sit down. Claire moved her mixer and specialty tools into the shared commercial kitchen. Patrick helped with his truck. I did not organize the move, label boxes, or create a loading order. I brought coffee and held doors. It was one of the hardest mornings of my life. You know you can carry something, Claire said after watching me stand beside a stack of sheet pans. I'm respecting the operation. You're making Patrick carry 6 boxes at once to prove a philosophical point. Across the room, Patrick's face appeared over the top of the boxes. I could use a philosopher, he said. I took 3 from him. Claire began supplying the 2 coffee shops she had mentioned. 6 items. Pies still did not count. She did not withdraw every dollar from Homefront immediately, but she removed her bakery name and stopped letting Owen describe her as a future addition. Her choice cost money. It also gave her mornings she could control. My mother visited the apartment carrying the retirement cards in a reusable grocery bag. You left these at the house, she said. I know. Owen asked me to bring them. How did you get my address? Claire. I made a note to discuss operational security with my adult daughter, then remembered that was exactly the sort of sentence that had gotten me here. My mother walked through the apartment without touching anything. She looked at the blue sofa, the small kitchen, and my uniform hanging behind the folding closet door. You're really living here, she said. For now. It looks temporary. It is furnished. That isn't what I meant. She set the bag on the table. The brass compass was still in my purse. Everything else from the gift table had remained at the house. I was hard on you, she said. You were worried. I was also wrong. My mother did not apologize often. When she did, she approached from the side. About what? I asked. Owen's surprise. I like the idea that you would go directly from one useful role to another. Why? Because I know what you're like without a schedule. What am I like? Annoying. I laughed. She smiled, then looked toward the closet again. I also thought marriage meant staying in the room, she said. Your father stayed in rooms and made everybody pay for it. I waited. I have spent years turning endurance into a virtue, because admitting it wasn't always one would require revisiting several decades. You don't have to do that for me. No, I have to do it for me. She touched the stack of cards. Open them or don't. They belong to you. After she left, I read 3. Then I stopped. Not because they upset me. Because I could. Owen asked me to meet him at Homefront after closing. The photographs were gone. So was the shadow box. In its place hung a chalkboard listing the week's specials. The dining room looked smaller with the rear section dark, but it also looked calmer. Owen sat at a table near the bakery case. The case was empty except for a handwritten sign, "Pastries coming soon." He removed it when he saw me looking. "That was Beth," he said. "I didn't ask. I'm taking it down." He folded the sign and placed it on the chair beside him. I sat across from him. "You look good," he said. "I'm wearing a sweater." "It's a good sweater. I've owned it 8 years. I liked it then, too." He looked tired but steadier. The frantic brightness he had carried since the dinner was gone. "Homefront is going to survive," he said. "I'm glad. Smaller than I planned. Still yours." He nodded. "I hated you for not coming that night." "I know." I stood in the kitchen and kept thinking, if Dana were here, she would know where everybody should be. I would have. That made me hate you more. I know. And then I realized I had built the entire opening around a person who had said no. I looked at the bare wall behind him. "I'm sorry," he said. "Not because the surprise failed, because I made your retirement a transfer of command." The words were his own this time. I could tell because they were imperfect. "Thank you. I miss you. I miss you too. Come home." The restaurant refrigerator kicked on behind the kitchen wall. "I can hire an operations manager eventually," he said quickly. "I'm not asking you to work here." "Owen." "What? You're still offering a revised position. I'm offering our marriage. With the restaurant as the condition of the room. It is my life now, I know, and I'm not asking you to leave it. Then what are you asking?" I looked at the empty pastry case, the reduced tables, the place he had wanted for years and nearly destroyed by insisting everybody want it with him. "I'm asking whether you can love me without waiting for me to become useful to your plan." His eyes filled. "I don't know," he said. It was the most honest answer he had given me. I reached across the table and took his hand. "Neither do I said. "That's why I'm not coming home." Owen turned my hand over and studied my palm as though a better answer might be written there. "How long?" he asked. "I don't know. A month? 6 months? I don't know. You can't keep saying that." "I can, until it's true." His thumb moved across my wedding ring. "If I hadn't opened the restaurant," he said, "would you have stayed? I don't know that either." He let go of my hand. The answer hurt him, but anything kinder would have been false. Homefront had not created the problem. It had put walls around it, printed a logo, and invited 38 people to watch. "I kept thinking retirement would fix us," he said. "I thought it would give us time." "What's the difference?" "You thought I would change." "I thought we would." He leaned back. The kitchen staff had gone, but the room still smelled of smoke and onions. Someone had left a ketchup bottle on the nearest table. "I don't want a divorce," he said. "I didn't say divorce. You said you aren't coming home. For now. That sounds like something people say while they get used to leaving. Maybe it is." His face folded for a second before he brought it under control. "I gave you 27 years, he said. "No, you lived 27 years with me. You know what I mean?" "Yes. That's why I need you to stop saying it." He looked toward the darkened rear dining section. "I don't know how," he admitted. "That's honest, too. We left separately." For a while, Owen and I tried to build a marriage out of scheduled meals. We met on Wednesdays at places neither of us owned, a diner near the courthouse, a Thai restaurant where he complained that the curry had no depth, then ate all of it, a sandwich shop with metal chairs that made long conversations physically impossible. We agreed not to discuss Homefront for the first 30 minutes. Owen kept checking the clock. I told him about Gloria's ceramic rooster and my running route. He told me the new line cook, Maurice, had reorganized the kitchen without asking and saved 8 minutes on every rack of ribs. "You like him?" I asked. "I hate him." That wasn't the question. "Yes," Owen said. "I like him." He told me Beth had learned to pour a legal glass of wine and Patrick had been banned from carrying more than 2 plates. I told him my mother had apologized and that Lila had given me sheets violent enough to affect sleep. Sometimes we laughed. Sometimes we sat across from each other and discovered affection was not the same thing as a future. Owen stopped asking me to work at the restaurant. He did not stop asking when I would come home. The first few times he asked directly. Later, he asked whether I missed the bed, the porch, the sound of his coffee machine. He brought me mail that did not need to be delivered, and once arrived at dinner with my red coffee maker in the back of his SUV. "You put it on your list, didn't you?" he said. "What list?" "The one you made before coming to the house. Clothes, medication, laptop. How do you know I made a list? You are Dana Holt." He placed the coffee maker on the sidewalk between us. "You forgot it." I crossed it out and wrote it again. I stared at him. He smiled sadly. "I know you too." I took the coffee maker. That was the difficulty. Owen knew 1,000 true things about me. He knew I hated pulp and orange juice, that I watched disaster movies only to criticize evacuation routes, that I slept with one foot outside the blanket. He knew which stories made me laugh and which anniversaries required silence. He did not know how to let those truths change. At our 7th Wednesday dinner, he told me Homefront had sold the extra smoker and half the furniture intended for the rear dining room. The money covered repairs and reduced what he owed. He had dropped lunch service on weekdays and built the menu around what the kitchen could execute consistently. "I should have started this way," he said. "Probably. You could pretend to consider the question. I've eaten your 12-page catering menus." He smiled. Then he said, "I kept planning the biggest version because I thought you would make it possible." I put down my fork. He looked embarrassed, but did not take it back. I told myself I was building something worthy of everything we'd waited for, he continued. But I was also thinking, Dana can handle the complicated part. Dana will fix the staffing. Dana will make the numbers work. Yes. I thought that was respect. I know. It was easier than admitting I wanted you to carry me for a while. The restaurant noise receded around us. "You did carry me," I said. "Not the way I wanted. No, I wanted to be the important one. You were important. I wanted proof." His honesty no longer sounded like a door opening. It sounded like a room being accurately measured after we had already learned our furniture would not fit. "I'm sorry," I said. "For what?" "For every time I made your work sound optional, for assuming you would follow because you always had, for showing gratitude only when you complained loudly enough to force me." He nodded. "I'm sorry I turned all of that into a debt," he said. "And I'm sorry I tried to collect it in public." We sat with the apologies. They were real. They did not rewind anything. Claire rented the shared kitchen for 3 mornings a week. Her orange cardamom buns sold out first, followed by biscuits with rosemary and black pepper. One of the coffee shops asked her to add a Saturday delivery. She said no until she knew she could do it without turning every Friday night into unpaid panic. "I'm learning capacity," she told me. "You always knew capacity." I knew production capacity. I'm learning mine. She and Owen spoke about business through email for several weeks, then began meeting in person. Their partnership ended without a dramatic showdown. It ended through equipment lists, canceled orders, and 2 painful conversations in which Owen kept saying she was abandoning a family opportunity, and Claire kept saying it had stopped being hers. She lost money. Not all of it, but enough that she had to delay renting a storefront. Owen bought out part of her remaining share over time and released the bakery name completely. Neither of them felt victorious. One afternoon, Claire called and asked me to meet her at Homefront. "Why?" I asked. "Dad and I are moving the last of my supplies. Do you need help?" "No, I want lunch." I went. The wall where my uniform had hung now displayed a chalk drawing of the restaurant smoker, surrounded by signatures from customers. The plaque bearing my name was gone. Owen served us brisket sandwiches and did not ask whether the portions were correct. Claire and I ate at a table near her empty pastry case. Owen joined us after the lunch rush. He and Claire disagreed about who owned a stack of sheet pans. They argued for 3 minutes, checked a receipt, and discovered the pans belonged to Owen. No one asked me to decide. It felt almost ceremonial. Claire eventually found a narrow storefront 2 blocks from the shared kitchen. It had previously been a stationery shop, which meant it had no floor drain, no proper ventilation, and more electrical problems than outlets. She signed nothing until she understood every page. The renovation took longer than she wanted. She complained about contractors, learned to use a tile saw, and banned me from creating a project schedule. I visited once a week. Sometimes I swept. I made a 3-day drive along the Blue Ridge Parkway alone. Owen and I had talked about that trip so often, I expected every overlook to feel like evidence of failure. Instead, most of them felt like overlooks: mountains, trees, clouds. At one stop, I bought terrible coffee and sat on a stone wall while wind lifted the edge of my map. Nobody needed an update. I still sent Claire a photograph. She replied, "Proud of you." I stayed in Gloria's apartment through winter. The furniture stopped looking borrowed. I replaced the betrayed ceramic rooster with a small green plant, then put the rooster back because the windowsill looked wrong without him. My mother came for coffee on Sundays. Lila came without invitation. Calvin mailed me a t-shirt that said, "Retired, declining your request," which I wore only inside the apartment and once to annoy my mother. Owen and I stopped meeting every Wednesday. Neither of us announced the end. We missed one dinner because he had a catering event. The next week, I had gone to see Claire's tile samples. Then Owen called and asked whether we were rescheduling or avoiding the obvious. "The obvious," I said. He came to the apartment. I made coffee with the red machine. We sat on the blue sofa, knees nearly touching. "I keep waiting to want a different answer," he said. "What answer?" "To the question you asked at Homefront, whether I can love you without needing you to become useful to my plan." I held my mug in both hands. "I do love you," he said. "But I also know every time I look at you, part of me sees the years I waited. I know. And every time you look at me, you see the bill. Not every time. Enough." "Yes." He looked around the apartment. "You seem peaceful here. I'm learning. You used to hate quiet. I hated waiting. What are you waiting for now?" "Nothing." He nodded slowly. We agreed to end the marriage that afternoon. There was no shouting, no final discovery, no hidden account, secret affair, or last-minute cruelty to make the decision easy. We sat close enough to touch and admitted that understanding how we had hurt each other did not obligate either of us to keep being hurt. Owen cried first. I cried longer. When he left, he took neither the red coffee maker nor the years we had lived. Both remained mine in different ways. By spring, Homefront had settled into itself. 4 dinner services, 1 weekend lunch, a menu Owen could cook without pretending 30 employees would appear because he needed them. Reviews mentioned good ribs, strong bourbon sauce, and a chef who came out to argue pleasantly with customers about cornbread. Claire called her bakery 6 Things. "Pies Don't Count" appeared in small letters under the name. The front room held 4 tables, a pastry case, and a shelf of jams from the woman in Spotsylvania. The tile was cream with green diamonds, the same color she had chosen for Homefront, but arranged differently. Her own work had survived the move. The night before the official opening, Claire invited the people she wanted there for a private dinner. My mother came in purple again, though a darker shade. Lila wore red. Calvin brought the forklift tie. Beth arrived with wine and strict instructions that Patrick was not allowed to carry 3 plates. Owen came last. He brought a pie. Claire examined it. "Chocolate chess? Your recipe? You made my recipe?" "I followed your recipe. That must have been difficult." "It was oppressive." She hugged him. He and I greeted each other without pretending we were strangers or spouses. He looked healthier. So did I. The tables had no place cards. The only balloons were 6 small gold ones Claire had tied near the pastry case. On the counter sat my unit shadow box, the one that had remained wrapped in tissue paper after the retirement dinner. Claire had asked permission before bringing it. We ate brisket Owen had prepared, biscuits Claire had baked, and salad my mother criticized for containing too many leaves. After dessert, Claire stood. "I was going to make a speech," she said. No, I told her. Everybody laughed. I knew you'd say that. She looked at me. Do you want anyone to? I looked around the room. At the first dinner, people had risen before I understood what they were applauding. This time, nobody moved. They waited for my answer. No speeches, I said. Claire nodded and sat. Then I stood. Owen looked at me across the table. My mother reached for my hand but stopped before touching it. Even Lila stayed quiet. I do want to say thank you, I said. To the people who moved, waited, worried, adjusted, forgave, and sometimes told me truths I didn't enjoy hearing. A few smiles. But first, I want to thank myself. My voice almost failed on the word. I let it shake. For 27 years of service, for what I carried, for what I missed, for getting on the plane, and for finally leaving a room when staying would have meant disappearing inside somebody else's version of me. No one applauded. That was how I knew they had heard me. Claire came around the table and placed a warm orange cardamom bun in my hand. Outside, the bakery windows reflected a woman in a blue dress surrounded by people who were no longer asking her to prove why she belonged. For once, what came next had not been planned. I took a bite anyway.